their back pocket, still playing the melee cleave even after these bonded soul changes? Or is it going to be ABC, the team that has started to break their slump, but they're going up against an absolute brick wall?
Yep, this is going to put our theory to the test. Will the bonded soul nerf be enough for ABC with this Elemental Shaman, Frost Mage, Resto Druid to take down this cleave setup Method Black has available? Normally, with the Death Knight and the Demon Hunter, the reason it pairs so well together is it's just such a durable composition. Both of these classes are difficult to take down. And then, of course, with Raikou on the Demon Hunter, having the Mana Rift available, he's going to be able to burn down the enemy healer's mana quite quickly, but really good aggression early on from Method Black.
Just speaking about Mana Rift, I like Asgarath's decision here to be running Relentless. This way, the Demon Hunter's Fell Eruption stun is not long enough to pair with the Mana Rift. Instead, Raikou will have to do a similar strategy as this, imprison into a Mana Rift, which is a lot more difficult to time. Asgarath was able to escape and avoid that, and it's going to be all about Asgarath's ability to avoid as many Mana Rifts as possible. Now with the reductions to that Bonded Soul Healing Azerite trait, it is likely that Chaz will have to expend more mana. I would now give this blind pick advantage to ABC. This is what I was trying to credit in the pregame as well. Jamie, a phenomenal Elemental Shaman. Alex, Frost Mage has definitely been key. I'm glad that they're staying with this main composition, not trying to go off the beaten trail too far. Maybe later on in the season when they prepared more alternate specializations, that's when we'll see them diversify. But right now, I think they need to focus on what they're good at, and that's what they're doing exactly here in game number 1.
Yep, so far, Alec has been doing a great job kiting, and if we look at mana, I believe Chaz is actually a little bit behind. Good pressure from ABC. Asgarath's been doing a good job with his Relentless to avoid a lot of these mana rifts incoming from Raikou. You can see him just continually crossing the map. He wants to create as much distance as possible and force both Swapsy and Raikou in the open, where they will be susceptible to the damage Alec brings, as well as Jamie and some of the control the Frost Mage has. This gives Asgarath an opportunity to get out of combat, potentially look for a drink, but more importantly, just avoid mana rifts from Raikou.
The other objective with Asgarath constantly looking for drinks is that it will pull Raikou out into the open, and then ABC can blast him and try and burst him down. So even if Asgarath doesn't manage to regenerate mana from a drink, he needs to look for the opportunities to bait the opposing team, Method Black, to overextend so that his team has more kill windows and more kill opportunities. Asgarath is running Feral Affinity, I do believe, so that could be an opportunity for him to add some extra damage to his team, but he needs to be careful that he doesn't stay deep too long, because if he's focused down, he will be vulnerable. I did like Jamie's usage of Lightning Lasso earlier, because Asgarath is running this Relentless talent to reduce crowd control. Imprison is the only crowd control Raikou has to chain into a Mana Rift. If Jamie saves a stun and stuns Raikou, as soon as he imprisons Asgarath, he can deny the Mana Rift, and this is entirely what ABC needs to do with their structure, is deny as many Mana Rifts as possible, make it as deep into Dampening as they can to reduce the self-sufficiency of the Demon Hunter and the Death Knight, and then look for a bursty kill. They've already gotten good pressure here onto Raikou. Some of their main objectives to get before Dampening would be that of the anti-magic zone, that blue icon below Swapsy's frame, or that of the darkness below Raikou's frame. Obviously with 2 purple icons, it is the one second to the left in the center. It'll have a 3-minute timer. When a 3M is there, it means it's no longer available until that timer is gone. These are the 2 major defensive cooldowns for Method Black that ABC objectively need to get out of the way as soon as possible.
Yeah, and so far, like you mentioned, Sid, ABC's been doing a really good job shutting down some of these mana rifts with the Lightning Lasso. So when Raikou pushes in, he gets a stun, he gets the imprisonment, he gets lassoed, or before he can even get there, Alex throwing out an Ice Nova just to deny some of that mobility and allow Asgarath a little bit more freedom in this match. With that said, Raikou has still been doing a good job. He gets the imprisonment. If he gets denied on it, he's making sure he gets the Fell Eruption into a Chaos Nova so he can still land those mana rifts, which plays into the win condition of Method Black very importantly.
Great crowd control setup by ABC. Jamie really hard carrying in that moment of time, pulling major defensives, and while they had that aggressive pressure, Asgarath took the time to sneak away and drink, and that's a perfect time to do it. If the other team is hiding, trying to avoid damage, you can force them to come out into the open, or you get to drink and regenerate your mana back to full. ABC are looking solid here in game number 1 against Method Black. They did get that Gladiator's Medallion from Chaz. That is another major objective. They could open up a swap to him later on as a result. Their pressure on Raikou has been solid throughout this match as well. Asgarath looking like he wants to try and make something start here, bashing up Raikou, denying a lot of that I-beam damage. I will say the crowd control timing from ABC has been perfect in reducing the amount of mana rifts and reducing the pressure that Raikou has been getting out. They are looking like a step above where they were last week.
Yeah, such a good job. The one thing that's really slowing down Asgrath's ability to drink is the duel. Swapsy's been keeping on it the entire time. You can see the skeletons, as well as some of those zombies going to be chasing down Asgrath, and it's going to be important that Alec can potentially throw a Frost Nova, but a nice setup here coming in from ABC onto Raikou as he gets bursted down. Chaz has to respond with the Iron Bark. Raikou still has a lot of defensive cooldowns at his disposal, but that was a really nice attempt.
I really like Asgrath participating in that Lightning Lasso and dishing out damage with the Feral Affinity as well. It's very important as a Restoration Druid to, when you're running that Feral Affinity, to try your best to get some damage out while it is available and easy to do. So when they've got the enemy healer stunned, it's a good opportunity to attack. Asgrath sets Jamie up for some crowd control, a bash into a Hex, good crowd control chain initiation by ABC, good follow-up on the Lightning Lasso, but unfortunately not enough damage and good denial to interrupt that incoming stun. Raikou gets bursted huge, and remember, we have seen some very big Earth Shocks. At any point, any member of Method Black could go down if Jamie can get a big crit, so definitely can't look away from your screen in this match at any point.
Yep, and for Alec, if you guys are interested why he's playing Night Elf, a lot of players have figured out that if you use Shadow Meld, it actually will immune incoming Maledicts at any point. If someone uses a Maledict, you can Shadow Meld right away or as it hits you, and you will be able to avoid that effect completely. And that could potentially be better than a Dark Iron Dwarf's Fireblood, just because it doesn't put your trinket on cooldown, doesn't share that timer on that ability. So I think a lot of players have opted to go with the Night Elf racial just to try to counteract and avoid the very powerful Gladiator's Maledict.
Swapsy's denial this game has been great. Every time Jamie looks to set up crowd control, it is always Swapsy breaking up the chain and saving Raikou. Definitely looking solid on that Death Knight. Method Black overall diversifying their roster quite heavily to bring in the Rogue Mage, to bring in the Wizards, and now to bring in the Melee Cleaves. They're definitely a top contender to maybe take the entire championship this year, but of course the competition is at its highest with ABC now getting out of their slump and really putting it to Method Black. Moving into future tournaments, I do want to see ABC diversify their compositions further. However, in this tournament in specific, the composition that they're currently running is easily their most powerful, especially with the recent changes. Now as Dampening mounts up, it becomes even more critical for Asgrath to avoid as many mana rifts as possible. He will need Jamie's help to do so. Jamie's supporting Asgrath as he tries to make his escape across center field. Mana fairly even on both sides, and it's still anyone's game.
No question about it. 14% Dampening as things get more and more intense for both these teams. Alec looking to get a resummon on his Water Elemental, gets interrupted there by Swapsy, although it wasn't dead, so really not going to be missing out on too much of an opportunity. Swapsy getting controlled up. Alec still just trying to deny as much damage as possible. I really feel like the strategy ABC is going with is just avoid Chaz, stop Chaz from drinking, just try to put out as much pressure as they can, force Chaz to run out of mana. Maybe that's the win condition that they have, and they can turn it around on Method Black, but Method Black still doing a great job with their consistent damage. You can see ABC, they're actually falling a little bit behind, and if Asgrath cannot actually escape for a drink at any point, it still feels like that advantage will go in Method Black's favor.
Yeah, but they just need to be careful that nobody gets bursted in midfield while they are chasing Asgrath and looking for drink denial. I mean, Raikou already getting bursted here, not trading any cooldowns a bit reluctantly. Jamie sets up a swap to Chaz, trying to pressure the healer. That can definitely be a great strategy as an elemental shaman, especially when facing a melee cleave. If the enemy healer ever overextends to heal his melee DPS, you can then make a swap to that player, and switching targets against a Restoration Druid is even more apparently viable as a strategy since those focused growth changes. Now that Life Bloom is more expensive, definitely you are going to want to look to change targets. Now when we get deeper into Dampening, ABC's strategy is going to change. Swapsy becomes a lot more viable of a target and likely to be the player who goes down for Method Black, but ABC needs to make it to maybe 35 or 40% Dampening before this becomes critical mass for Method Black. And right now, I don't think Asgrath is going to have the time to make it to that point. They're going to need to set up Asgrath for a drink or push in for a kill at 30% Dampening and hope that it's enough. They still haven't gotten through any of the major objectives for Method Black's composition, and now things are starting to fall apart for ABC.
Yeah, Chaz managed to sneak away for a drink as well, so he's completely reset his mana. This is not looking good for ABC. What are they going to do? Asgrath once again trying to escape, but Swapsy, Chaz, Raikou, they're all trying to chase him down. Jamie tries to deny Chaz with the Lightning Lasso, but unfortunately now, Asgrath, he hasn't healed up Alec. This could be potentially the first Ice Block coming up from him. He's spamming out the polymorphs, trying to deny as long as possible, but this damage from Method Black seems to be overwhelming.
This is the thing with such a long extended match, you have to keep your plays on point for the better part of 10 minutes plus, and at this point Method Black have just kept a level head, solid defense, which is what they need to do with their composition. They've got the mana rifts being nailed, Asgrass totally burnt out, Chaz was able to regenerate mana. Method Black have set themselves up perfectly for their win condition here in game number 1 against ABC, and the blind pick is of utmost importance. But in the meantime, Jamie is doing his best to carry the team, setting up crowd control on Chaz, but not enough damage to even force a blur from Raikou. Instead, Choccy making a trade. Anti-magic zone, one major objective from Method Black has finally been forced, but it was a trade for Alex Icy Veins, which is more than an efficient trade for Method Black. Their defense is looking solid.
Yeah, ABC is really struggling to find pressure in this matchup so far. Full bash now into Chaz. Any follow-up crowd control doesn't look like it, and Chaz should be able to easily heal through that damage. Although a lot of these Cleave setups, or Method Black in particular, they're not using the Bonded Souls trait anymore. I've noticed Choccy, he's opted into the Impassive Visage, so that's a lot of additional healing that they will have available. Basically what this does is when you take damage, you get healed for a certain amount, around 6,000 for one trait, and that happens around every 6 seconds. So definitely a lot of additional healing there for Method Black if they are opting to stack that trait. Alex still under fire, Asgrath with no mana left. Iron Bark has been used, no Temporal Shield available. Raikou getting low though in the meantime. He doesn't want to throw. A lot of damage coming out onto Raikou. They did force out the Ice Block. Now Raikou forced to retreat to Chaz as he manages to top him off behind the pillar. But this is such a bad spot for ABC to be in.
I mean, deep into Dampening, it becomes a game of chicken. Do you stay without your defense and try and push a little bit of extra damage for a kill while you're still low health and Dampening prevents you from recovering? And we're hitting that 40% Dampening mark. Asgrath, if he can manage to stabilize the team and get all 3 members back to full health, they do still have an opportunity to take Raikou down. Raikou is running relentless. If he's caught in a lightning lasso, he will be unable to escape and access that defensive cooldown darkness. That could be an opportunity for ABC later on into the match, but Asgrath has to basically work with nothing left in the tank and all 3 members at critical mass, 40% Dampening, about that magic number. This is when things are going to become so much more stressful for ABC. Still 3 members low on health. Choccy marching forward for the kill, stunning Alec a bit aggressively. Now they will not have that asphyxiate to break up or disrupt a push from the team of ABC. I would like to see Jamie set up for a kill here. He's been doing a great job earlier on, but now he needs to do it deep into Dampening if they want to find victory. The pressure is still on. Alec is likely to need it to block. He's unable to counter-aggress, and if they can't counter-aggress, Method Black are going to walk all over them.
And they are. Asgrath getting lower, might get taken down here, but he's going to be ignored. Alex still so vulnerable in this situation. No ice blocks left. All 3 members of ABC at a critical point right now. Full hex secured by Jamie, trying to get some counter pressure here onto Raikou, but there's just so much defense left for Method Black. I don't know what ABC is going to be able to do. Choccy out of crowd control, Raikou out of crowd control. Alec doing a good job with his Ice Nova, trying to keep them in place, but a beautiful imprisonment will slow down a little bit of that additional healing Asgrath gets from the Iron Bark, and once that fades, Alec really has nothing left.
I mean, this stun lock on Alec is likely to close the match. He's doing everything he can to control Choccy. Asgrath is trying to control Chaz, but there is just simply no counter pressure. They drop the anti-magic zone to trade for the Stormkeeper. Jamie's damage is denied, but he held on to it. Maybe a couple miracle lightning bolts. They need a miracle. They go for the lightning lasso. They get denied by Chaz. Perfect defense on the part of Method Black. Despite the bonded soul changes, they are looking dominant here in game.
Maybe their win condition is essentially to just try to keep the mana bar even. You both have DKs that can kind of keep their pets on the enemy healer and shut down a lot of those drinks. And then maybe their comp is just straight up better in Dampening due to the extra healing, due to the extra mobility of that elemental shaman.
Well, let's see if this defibrillator cleave can bring ABC back to life.
Frankenstein Cleave, 100% Frankenstein Cleave. This is what I was wondering. Obviously, both these teams are bringing in Death Knights. They have access to a spell called Death Grip, which allows them to pull an enemy target to their position. Now, elemental shamans do a lot of damage to things that are out in the open. They may look to Death Grip Chaz, pull him into the open so that Jamie on the elemental shaman can dish out tons of damage and look for healer swaps. So far, we have not seen that attempt. Instead, just going after Raikou, which I like. Definitely don't want to target the Death Knights before Dampening. It is not going to be an effective strategy. Slowing down the Demon Hunter's momentum and bursting him down is a lot more likely to provide success. Chaz locked down in a bash. Asgrath repositioning, potentially set up more crowd control. No follow-up, unfortunately, from the team of ABC. Dropping the ball a bit there early on.
Yep, for ABC, the one thing we really have to compare is the Death Knight of Nixie versus the Frost Mage of Alec. Now Nixie, like you talked about, he has the Chains of Ice, he has the Death Grip. Those things will potentially trip Raikou and Choccy up a little bit, but is it going to be as much as a Frost Nova, Ice Nova, all of these abilities that the Frost Mage has available to really control this Cleave team from Method Black? I feel like with the setup ABC has brought now Method Black, they have a lot more free reign in this game to sort of go after whatever targets that they want and put out a lot more damage.
Yeah, most certainly is the case. I will say that Nixie and Jamie, the communication was a bit off there. If their main goal is to deny Mana Rift, then they cannot use Lightning Lasso and Asphyxiate at the same time on Raikou, and they used them at the same time when Asgaroth was Stunlocked. If they can split up those spells, they can potentially deny every single Mana Rift, and if they deny every single Mana Rift, then of course ABC are likely to maintain at least equal mana with Method Black, and then deeper in Dampening, which is likely required for their strategy to kill this composition crafted by Method Black. They could have an opportunity to win, but they need to clean up that communication. They're already falling behind.
Chaz sat down for a drink. Just no pressure on Raikou, no pressure on Choccy so far. Chaz easily able to sneak off, get in stealth, completely reset his mana. Asgaroth looking to do the same, and it doesn't seem like Method Black, they know where he is. No, Chaz manages to find him, and Asgaroth's just wasting his time more than anything. Right before he's about to start regenerating mana, Chaz was able to keep him in combat, and that actually allowed Raikou and Choccy to start generating some pressure, and that's something you can do against Resto Druids that are going for these re-stealth plays, because it does take a little bit of time before you start regenerating mana from sitting down to drink. You can have them waste their time, basically get to the point where they will start regenerating mana and then stop them right in their tracks, and that is just basically free crowd control for your team. Jamie getting a little bit low there. Asgaroth really doesn't have Iron Bark. No, not too many catch-up mechanics just yet, but that cooldown should be available shortly. Nixie forced to use his AMS. And so far, it's the same story. Method Black, they seem to have all the pressure, all the momentum. ABC struggling in this matchup so far.
Yeah, I mean, there's a significant build difference between Asgaroth and Chaz. Chaz running the Soul of the Forest double Swiftment, so his rejuvenations and germinations are a lot more potent healing, whereas Asgaroth has decided to go with Cultivation and Cenarian Ward, which is a bit of an old-school Restoration Druid build. That used to be the standard way of play, and I think so far you can start to see the difference in healing output. Raikou gets bursted here for a moment. ABC showing signs of life, but they need to start evening out that mana front, because right now that's where they are significantly behind.
Yep, and I've noticed Chaz in this matchup, he's been on babysitter duty for Asgaroth. He's been the one chasing him down, stopping him from drinking, and normally we see that from Raikou, but Raikou and Choccy opting to just put a lot more damage in this matchup. Chaz really hasn't been under too much pressure, like I said, so he can afford to just run on top of Asgaroth, deny those drinks consistently, and let his team wreak down havoc on Jamie and Nixie.
I'm very curious to see if Asgaroth can manage to find a drink. I really don't like the map selection from ABC. I was expecting them to go to a very open field map. They obviously don't have a Demon Hunter, so it would only benefit them to have a large map so that their healer can escape the Demon Hunter, re-stealth, and try to find opportunities to drink. Maybe they picked Tiger's Peak because they didn't want to give away what composition they were going to try. Perhaps this was just an experiment similar to Frankenstein. I'm not entirely sure, but it's not really working for
Frankenstein wasn't the experiment. That was the doctor's name.
All right.
This is named after the creator, Victor von Frankenstein Cleave.
All right, Jamie taking...
This is why I'm not paid for movie knowledge.
No,
it's a book!
it's both, let's be honest.
It's a book written by Mary Shelley.
All right, well, I don't know about that, but Asgaroth is getting low on mana. Chaz still doing quite well, and he hasn't really had to sneak away and get drinks, but ABC actually is starting to find some semblance of pressure, and this is what I want to see. I want to see Jamie and Nixie go after Chaz a little bit. When he's playing this aggressive onto Asgaroth, they need to punish him, grip him in, potentially put him into Asphyxiate stun. If Jamie has burst available, that's when they can really make Chaz fall behind on some of the healing he has on Raikou and Choccy and burn down that mana bar even quicker.
All right, Asgaroth, what are you going to do? Dampening has just started. You're basically tapped. You've got some defense for the team with all three members, so they will sustain, but so far there's been very little, if any, counter pressure from the team of ABC. Perhaps in Dampening, they can run Chaz down. That's the only thing that I'm seeing so far. It seems like they want to target him. Big Earthshock hit. Chaz is trying to deny Asgaroth from drinking, and while doing that, he is taking tons of fire. They did not find it. No, they did. The Ursul's Vortex hit Asgaroth. Nice snipe on part of Chaz. Good awareness there, but now they baited Chaz and Raikou out into the open for Jamie to potentially have free reign. Instant Mind Freeze by Choccy. Choccy's denial easily carrying the team. It's very subtle and maybe hard to notice as a newcomer, but Choccy is definitely one of the key factors for Method Black to stall this fight out as long as they have been.
Yeah, Chaz once again chasing down Asgaroth. And I like this from Jamie. He's really pressuring down Chaz. Bash coming in from Asgrath as they're looking to really put pressure on him. Might have to use the Barskin or Ironbark potentially. Nixie just really denying Raikou in this matchup with the Chains of Ice Spam, with the Mind Freeze interrupt on the Ivy, and with the grips. Raikou's really been limited in this matchup so far, and it's been impressive from Nixie. And Raikou trying to pressure him down. Nixie's actually able to heal through that damage quite easily. Now a Lightning Lasso coming in from Jamie onto Chaz. Another Earthshock as well. Chaz dipping low, but still not in too much danger. I think unless Nixie can get on top of Chaz, it's unlikely that Jamie can really take him down. So we need to see a coordinated effort here from ABC if they want to land a kill on Chaz. Although the damage is significant from Jamie, I just don't see them really winning the game that way.
We do finally see some pressure on Chaz, but he was able to get to safety away from Nixie. Mana is starting to even out, but it's all about momentum when we get into dampening. The healers can't heal anymore, the healing is reduced, and there's really not much left here to trade. Good crowd control by Method Black. Will Astral Shift be enough? Huge necrotic strikes are stacking up onto Jamie as he tries to make his escape. Asgarath desperately trying to stabilize, but caught now into imprison. Lightning Lasso forced defensively to just pause the damage of Swapsy. Both Asgarath and Jamie in trouble. If Raikou can make it back on target, they grip Asgarath in to go for the throat. They stun him up, even though on diminishing return, perhaps they have enough to finally close this fight out. Asgarath able to escape on the outskirts of the map, sitting in stealth, trying to sit down for a drink, but once again, Chaz completely shuts them down. Chaz deciding to break out of crowd control. They have all the momentum. They don't want to lose it. Method Black are just going to trade defense after defense to stay right on top of ABC. They have him in a chokehold. Maybe a miracle. How much damage do they have? Gladiator Safeguard procs. Raikou stabilized, able to sneak in the darkness right between that stun lock combination. That was the miracle opportunity for ABC, and it has been snuffed out.
Yeah, Raikou didn't overreact as well. He still has the blur to push in and try to close out this game. Chaz taking some damage, but Asgarath, Jamie, they are so low. Nice bash coming in from Chaz, and ultimately Swapsy and Raikou can close out the game on Jamie. Not a bad attempt by ABC, but Method Black, they're looking so...
You know, even based off of what we are seeing right now, I feel like when you look at ABC, I almost feel like we can comfortably say that they are out of that slump that we were saying they were in, but Method Black is just the best team in Europe. I don't think there's a question about it. 340 points gonna say it, and now potentially a 3-0.
The thing is that changed my mind. Minpoike's team has already been sent out of the tournament by Ratipai. We got the return of Ratipai in the lower bracket. The Pumpers have already been sent home. These are the two main contenders for ABC to get that 4th place spot. So ABC really needs to try and get a good performance here. I'm not going to count them out just yet with this composition. They do have good pressure over onto Chaz initially. Potentially a healer race here in game number 3. We obviously saw the Pumpers take down Method Black last week with this composition. ABC are now trying to hijack it for themselves.
Yeah, and Chaz has been dealing with the pressure quite well so far. Raikou still has the darkness available if he really needs to. What we want to see is Raikou hold on to his trinket so he can drop that for Chaz if he really needs it. Chaz opting to sit through this leg sweep as he does have his trinket available, but doesn't really feel like there's much of a threat with the imprisonment on Nixie. Damage from ABC was super limited during that stun setup, and that leaves Chaz free to be nice and healthy and hold on to all his defensive cooldowns.
All right, Asgarath getting gripped into the fray as Method Black look to engage, dropping that Mana Rift, burning the clock even quicker for the team of ABC. So long as Swapsy's defense is there, Raikou's Mana Rifts are solid, and Chaz remains unfazed. I think Method Black are likely to take this. So far, Asgarath is falling so far behind. Life Cocoon now forced to be traded out on his part. His mana increasingly tapped, which means he won't have access to Way of the Crane. Nixie gets bursted, caught in a double stun combo here from Raikou. Great offense on his part, burning 2 defensive cooldowns now out of the way of ABC. It's basically kill Chaz, or this game is over for ABC at this point.
Yeah, Swapsy getting low, but with Icebound Fortitude, he should be able to keep himself alive.
Maybe?
Great pressure here from ABC. Nice death strikes from Swapsy to keep himself up. Chaz really using a lot of mana to keep him alive at this point. Asgarath now caught into the stun with no real defensives left. Last little bit of his mana will get taxed, but Swapsy's still low, almost in execute range. Darkness has to get traded out by Raikou to keep Method Black alive. Chaz needs to keep him alive. He has Ironbark almost available. That was a beautiful attempt from ABC, but they have potentially run out of time.
ABC are just expending everything to stay aggressive, and it is least proving to force major defensive cooldowns from Method Black. But now that Asgarath has run out of mana, he is unable to access Way of the Crane to boost his damage and heal his team. He's going to either need to try and find a drink for that or try to heal without it. Life Cocoon at least allows him to pause some of this damage, but he doesn't really have mana to recover Nixie's health, and he's got no self-sustainability ability on that Warrior as opposed to the Death Knight and the Demon Hunter. So Nixie's health is likely to be low for some time. Asgarat just holding on to Soothing Mist, gripped into the fight. This might be good night for ABC in the upper bracket. If Method Black can close out with just a tad bit more damage, Nixie gets Ursula's Vortex back in the fight. If Asgarat gets interrupted even one time, it's going to close this out. He needs to cast. He paralysis his Chaz. He tries to fake cast the kick. Was he able to find it? No, and not enough mana to stabilize the team. ABC will be knocked down to the lower bracket. I like their experimentation here.
But as we can see, Rogue Mage coming out here. If you're Wildcard Gaming, you probably assume that you are going to see this. The Chalky Milkmen, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Grab a fourth player, lose point, try to win with 3 to grab that 4th spot.
Zeepai almost snipes Clyde with that Death and Decay in the starting area. If he had managed to get that, he would be in combat and deny a sap from Ashley the Rogue. Ashley is looking for Looney. If Ashley gets close to Looney and sees him, he's likely to put him into a sap, which is very dangerous as a Restoration Druid. So Looney instead is going to grab combat with a Moonfire onto the Mage. Gelu, deny the sap. Now he can look to position into bear form. Ashley goes for a blind play early on, and as Rogue Mage in this current meta, you definitely need to play fast and hard. If you're not getting into the face of your opponents, finding a kill early on, they are going to be pressured and tapped on mana. Gelu with a good trade early on, but gets maledicted on the Temporal Shield. That's going to soak up some of its healing effect. Gelu gets Vortex back into the fight. Fists of Fury flying. Multiple maledicts committed here as Wildcard Gaming go all in to get that Cauterize early on. Clyde makes the trade, but it might be too late. Cauterize procs, Ice Block is forced, and Chalky Milkmen are suddenly out of all defensive options.
Yeah, beautifully done by Wildcard Gaming. Touch of Death got activated by Blizzo. Now an attempt here by Chalky Milkmen. Combustion gets used. Blizzo, can he survive? Anti-Magic Zone will make Blizzo durable enough, and Blizzo doesn't trade out anything. He still has the Karma, Diffused, and the Fortifying Brew. As long as he doesn't throw, I think Blizzo's going to be completely fine in this situation. Now double leg sweep secured onto Ashley and Gelu. Do they have the damage to potentially take Gelu down? Another Maledict gets used by Gelu onto Blizzo. He immediately diffused magics. Now into a full stun. Blizzo could be in some trouble, but Looney was able to secure the Iron Bark. Blizzo doesn't want to play it greedy, but if he gets the Touch of Karma off on Gelu, he's not going to be able to ice block that off, and Blizzo's going to be feeling quite healthy.
Nice usage of that Fire Blood by Blizzo, removing the Gladiator's Maledict's absorption effect and allowing him to stay on target, but now he's quite exposed moving forward. This is still anyone's match, and we have not even barely stepped foot into the fight. Looney needs to make sure that he avoids those Hibernates. I guess he was expecting Ring of Frost to land anyway, and at least with Hibernate they can't follow up with Polymorph. May have been the way he was thinking on that initiation, but either way, Looney cannot afford to make a mistake. Blizzo is incredibly vulnerable now to the opposing team, Chalky Milkmen. If Ashley can manage to keep this fight going for another minute, he'll have access to Vendetta, the most powerful cooldown from the Assassination Rogue, and that seems to be what they're trying to do as Gelu stalls Blizzo and Zeepai with Polymorphs and Dragon's Breath, but finally initiation by Blizzo. Zeepai moves in to stun the healer. Clyde knows that the stun is coming and instead is just avoiding it out of line of sight. Zeepai is spending a lot of time just not attacking, waiting for Clyde to come back into the fight, and I can't help but feel like that was a bit of a mistake. Looney now caught into crowd control with that Quaking Palm. Gelu loves playing that Panda Mage to try and set up some extra instant crowd control, potentially the X Factor, but he's dipping low. Not much defense remains. Temporal Shield is ticking away. He needs a few more seconds. Will he find it? Yes, he will. Pops himself back into the fight, able to get dispelled on that Maledict, but another one flies in. Do they have a third for Gelu? This Gladiator's Maledict soaking up tons of healing. If they've got a third, they commit it. They've got Touch of Death. This is easily going to be a kill here for Wildcard Gaming. Too much damage to handle, and that's going to be it for the Chalky Milkmen, but definitely showing signs of life. Good pressure on Blizzo.
Yeah, and
now to push in and get those Cyclones onto Looney and kind of set his team up, because as a Frost Mage, it will be very difficult for Gelu to land those Polymorphs. In the past, he's been able to do it off of the back of that Dragon's Breath, and that opener does not look great for Gelu.
Gates are open. Wildcard Gaming has one game in their back pocket and already off to a great start in game number 2.
Yeah, Gelu taking a lot of damage early on. Clyde already committing his Innervate and his Iron Bark to keep Gelu in a healthy position here. Temporal Shield does get used, but once again, there's 3 Maledicts. Gelu could be in some trouble. He doesn't have the Cauterize to fall back on, so he has to be very careful in these situations, but with that Temporal Shield, he will heal the full quite easily, but I feel like for the Frost Mage, although it is more durable, it's going to be really difficult for him to get out significant damage onto Blizzo and Zeepai in this matchup, especially with them just training him down and really limiting any sort of Frost bolts or any damage he can really cast out.
Good initiation here by the Chalky Milkmen, at least showing signs of life with a counterspell timing on Looney, stun-locking Zeepai at the same point in time, allowing themselves to pull Icebound Fortitude as well as the anti-magic zone. Smoke Bomb is still available. Ashley still has vanished to try and stun the Trinket, potentially do an all-in on Zeepai. That's basically their only option. They drop the Smoke Bomb. Where's the Trinket, Zeepai? Is he not going to trade it? That's a very greedy decision, but Looney has Iron Bark activated right before that Smoke Bomb opportunity. You're not going to catch Looney off guard, but then they cycle on Zeepai, denying its defense. They followed up with a bash into a full polymorph. Perfect chain by the Chalky Milkmen, but before dampening, Zeepai's Death Strikes are so potent at healing himself back up, they're going to need a bit more damage to push him over. Anti-Magic Shield absorbs all of Gelu's damage. They don't have enough damage to push him completely over. Chalky Milkmen's opportunity lost.
Yeah, and Gelu in this matchup, I'm not necessarily a big fan of his build. I feel like he could be running some different Azerite traits. He is opting to go with the Tunnel of Ice, but being trained down by Blizzo and Zeepai, I think he's only managed to get off one in this game, so really not getting an effective usage out of that. Would have liked to see a bit of an Ice Lance build instead, allow him to get out a little bit more instant damage in this matchup, but we'll have to see how it works out for him in the late game. When he blinks away like this and he can find Frostbolt, it is going to be nice, but I just feel like his casted damage is so limited with the Windwalker Death Knight on him.
I do think this is basically the best stall tactic Rogue Mage composition you can run. Assassination, Restoration Druid, and Frost Mage. If this doesn't work, it's the antithesis of what the Rogue Mage Priest would be, which is an all-in aggressive one. I want them to try it, at least for one game, because they were so close to killing Zeepai there. If they had a little bit of extra damage, a Dark Archangel, potentially he did go down during that moment of time. Currently, though, Wildcard Gaming are initiating that multiple Gladiators Maledict assault. Gelu trying to stabilize throughout it, but Ashley is low health as well. They could switch targets. They catch him in a stun. Clyde responds appropriately, trading in that Iron Bark, also running Nourish. Quite a powerhouse heal, but a very long cast. He knows that the Mage is the target, so he can get out this very long, powerful heal quite frequently. And if he manages to make them think they can go after him, which would be a good way to shut down Nourish, then the Frost Mage is left open. So it's definitely a good talent choice on Clyde's part, but still very difficult for the Chalky Milkmen so far here in game 2.
Yeah, Blizzo a little low. Looney managed to sneak away for a drink, and unfortunately for Clyde, he hasn't been able to actually sit down and regenerate any of his mana. Clyde throws in a Gladiator's Maledict onto Blizzo. Fireblood Racial gets traded out, as well as that Fortifying Brew. Blizzo's trying to keep himself alive as Looney's stuck in a full polymorph. Touch of Karma gets traded out onto Ashley, and all of a sudden, Chalky Milkman, they're not looking so bad. They managed to get a lot of defensive cooldowns from Blizzo. He's going to be increasingly vulnerable. Looney trinkets out of the blind, and they're just one setup away from potentially closing out this game.
Oh, Blizzo gets cycloned on his Touch of Death. Good denial here on the part of Chalky Milkmen. They are showing signs of life. Ashley goes for a kidney shot to set up crowd control for the team. Both Gelu and Clyde are moving in, but neither was able to secure the chain. Regardless, Anti-Magic Zone was traded to respect the Icy Veins from Gelu. Now Gelu could maybe get a polymorph, as his casted spells are much faster with Icy Veins, so Looney is going to be playing as far away from Gelu. Double stun lock will slow down. Let's see if Gelu can sneak in a polymorph. He's not even trying to go for it, basically just maybe overly respecting Looney's ability to dodge. Blizzo gets caught into a stun lock. This is good polymorph pressure from Gelu. He gets denied by Zeepai. They go for a smoke bomb attempt. Ursul's Vortex to pull Blizzo in, but he saved that Flying Serpent kick to escape to safety. Now Gelu in trouble on the back foot. His healer Clyde almost completely tapped on mana. We have not even stepped foot to Dampening. They have a couple of opportunities to take Blizzo out, but that clock is ticking.
Yeah, kidney shot onto Zeepai. It looks like Gelu and Ashley going to be switching targets, as they haven't been able to really take Blizzo down with Touch of Karma and Fortifying Brew rotating back up. That's the problem with going after the Windwalker Monk, is your defensive cooldowns rotate up so quickly, and if Looney is on point with his Iron Barks and keeping heal overtime effects onto Blizzo, it becomes very difficult. Gelu in a lot of trouble. Temporal Shield will deny the kill for now, but with Clyde going out of mana, things will start snowballing out of control here for the Chalky Milkman. Gelu, I see in the future, one Ice Block get traded out, the second shortly after that, and that's really when the Chalky Milkman will be in trouble.
Double stun combo initiated by Wildcard Gaming as they look to force the first Ice Block of the game. Will Iron Bark be enough defense for Gelu? Good kiting, good peels on Ashley's part. It looks to be enough. Now counter aggression towards Zeepai, although before Dampening, it's just so unlikely. Zeepai anti-magic shields the incoming Maledict, completely negating its effect. Nice anti-magic shield on Zeepai's part. That's going to allow him to play a lot more aggressive. Perhaps they can even out the mana, though. Looney is slowly being tapped on that front. There's still potential. They still have 2 Ice Blocks in the tank, but the defense for Wildcard Gaming is now rotated and available as Dampening has just begun. Blind has pulled Glidier's Medallion from Looney. Potential opportunity to switch targets. Gello has been nailing quite effective counter spells. That could be an opening for the Chalky Milkmen as they do burst down Blizzo heavily.
Yeah, Blizzo does manage to use the Fire Blood Racial, and it removes Maledict as well as all of the bleed effects that Ashley has available. So when Blizzo uses that as a defense against the Maledict, he's also getting an extra benefit of completely negating the Assassination Rogue damage. It's super effective, and that's why he's able to tank through a lot of that damage and feel confident doing so. Clyde now completely tapped on mana on 50% health, but Blizzo and Zeepai going to be keeping their attention on Gellu. It's not really wise for them to go after Clyde in this situation. They want to continue the pressure onto Gellu, really limit his damage, and just keep Chalky Milkman in a chokehold.
I mean, both Druids are out of mana. This is still maybe an opportunity for the Chalky Milkmen to get a kill. They pop Vendetta. They're going for pressure, trying to push Wildcard Gaming over the edge here on game number 2. Kidney shot initiation, but Clyde gets crowd control before he couldn't follow. He can't follow up now. Zeepai's not going to take enough damage to go down. Looney's Innervate up and available just in time for him to start to stabilize the team, get aggressive, and push them over the edge. In the meantime, Clyde has managed to sneak out in center field. Looney, I don't think knows where he is. Clyde got some mana back. That's definitely crucial for the Chalky Milkmen. They're playing the stall strategy very well here on Tolvaron Arena, getting good setups as well. If there was going to be a game for them to take with their Rogue Mage, this would be it.
Beautiful play by Clyde. Sometimes it's so obvious when you see a Restoration Druid running away looking for a re-stealth, but when you just hide in plain stealth, use that Shadow Meld, you can sit down for a drink, and sometimes they can lose track of you. Clyde definitely pulling up huge plays there for his team, keeping them in this fight, and now things are looking great for Chalky Milkman. Looney almost completely tapped on mana. Blizzo gets the Fortifying Brood, still trying to pressure down Gellu in the situation, but with both ice blocks, Gellu's going to be feeling relatively healthy, especially with Clyde having some mana. In the meantime, Looney, he sneaks away, gets a drink. If Looney can reset his mana completely here, he's going to keep Wildcard Gaming definitely in this fight and put them potentially way ahead. Zeepai really not under too much pressure in this situation. That's the problem. Chalky Milkman, they needed to try to pull out some defenses, but all they really got was the anti-magic shell.
Now they've got a significant mana lead. They're gunning down for the healer. Clyde, is he going to crack under the pressure here at 18% dampening? He makes the trade on the defense. Ashley's got good peels. They drop Smoke Bomb in desperation to try and assist Clyde, but even still, he manages to escape. Zeepai now being counter-pressured. Chalky Milkman showing signs of life. Gello sneaks into Polymorph. Critical plays on the part of Chalky Milkman. Zeepai holding on by a thread here. His Deathstrike's much weaker. Ashley continues the chain. MVP plays. That anti-magic shield's defense is going to be fading here shortly. Vendetta gets popped. It's do or die. Zeepai, will you fall? They're pressuring Clyde at the same time. It's a race to the finish. Who will fall first? Zeepai gets bursted. Looney is struggling. He has to open up his School of Magic. If Gello can sneak in a counter spell, he's trying to find polymorphs as well, but now he's pressured away. Temporal Shield bounces him back into the fight. Both sides begin to stabilize, but Looney's drink earlier has kept them a lead.
Yep, Gellu caught into a stun. Do they have the damage? I actually don't want to see them go after Clyde unless they just want to stop the drink. That's all I want to see from Wildcard Gaming. Potentially Looney could play a little bit more aggressive to do so. I want the pressure to be continued on Gellu in this matchup. Zeepai and Blizzo really have to focus on that, as Gellu is forced into his first ice block, but with Cold Snap available, he's going to have one left in around 30 seconds. Once that hypothermia debuff does fade, he can use the second ice block. There's a small window of opportunity here for Blizzo and Zeepai to push, try to take him down. Full KD shot now on Blizzo. Looney caught into the bash. Blizzo could be in some trouble. Might have to trade out his Touch of Karma early. Doesn't want to fall without using it. There it is. Blizzo will trade that offensive cooldown, or that defensive cooldown out onto Gellu and try to take him down. This could be the second ice block from Gellu.
Beautiful sap from Ashley continuing the chain, but unfortunately it doesn't pull any defense, and now Gellu is still on the back foot. Clyde's Innervate available, but he gets incapacitated on it. Devastation for the Chalky Milkmen, but Gellu secures a counterspell. The critical play to win the game. He sneaks in inevitable. No, he gets denied. Zeepai denies him at the final second. That easily could have killed Blizzo. Gellu doing whatever he can to keep his team in the fight. It's been an uphill battle throughout, but definitely showing signs of life. The Fist of Fury's doing so much damage to 2 targets. Clyde has no mana. Ice block is forced. That's going to be the final one. Ashley gets swapped to. He's evasively trying to avoid the attacks with sprints, but even still just rotted down. Clyde is unable to heal. It's do or die, but there's no opening for them. They're just slowly rotting down. Ashley in desperation peels the whole team, but even still the pressure is mounting. Wildcard Gaming look to close. Gladiators Maledicts for this final assault to take Gellu down, and with crowd control initiated, they will find victory on game number 2.
Oh man, Gellu, Baba, Clyde, and Ashley just
Looney setting up Gellu potentially. You see Gellu actually swapped over to Fire Mage here, so wants to get a little bit more offensive in this matchup.
Looney has predictably been trinketing blind every single time. So I'm wondering if Runes of Lordaeron is an attempt to punish that and make a switch to Looney and try and burst him down. If that is the case, I still would have liked to seen Clyde go to the Discipline Priest, even though it is weaker overall in the current meta. I will say that it is still stronger at trying to find a kill, at least within the first 20 seconds of a game. Chalky Milkmen engage on Zeepai. So looking to see for Ashley's blind. When is he going to make a move? Look for that crowd control initiation. Not just yet, instead just trying to counter pressure, but Zeepai can easily walk that off. Greater Pyroblast to change here for Gelubaba. He's just getting them off for free. Potentially could work out for him, but definitely difficult when facing down a Windwalker and a Death Knight.
Yeah, you Greater Power Blast, a Death Knight, and guess what? He just Death Strikes all of that damage back up. So unless Gelu's getting them off in a stun lock on Zeepai, that damage is going to be really insignificant. Now a Touch of Death secured onto Gelu. They respond with the Iron Bark as well as Temporal Shield. Gelu has to hold on. The last time we saw this play out, Touch of Death was enough to get the Cauterize and Ice Block, but Chalky Milkman playing it better, reacting to the situation a little bit quicker. Gelu does manage to hold on to his Ice Block for now. Good counter pressure here on the Blizzo. Looney already trinketing out a blind as well. Chalky Milkman with good aggression, but Blizzo's still feeling healthy with every single one of his defensives, and Gelu's falling further and further behind.
Clyde tried to cross the map to get crowd control and got crowd controlled himself by Looney. Now Gelu is very far behind in their on-match point. Now obviously as Rogue Mage, they are going to need to take risks, but it still matters if they're calculated. That may have been a costly exchange. Fortunately, Gelu was able to escape off the back of Ashley's defense. I will say the coordination between Gelu and Ashley has been sick. This is the swap that I wanted to see, but you are not going to catch Looney off guard. A veteran Restoration Druid when it comes to facing Rogue Mage. Whoa! Greater Pyroblast potentially could add a bit of extra punch for the team of Chalky Milkmen. Looney manages to duck around the corner, trying to jump to safety. Ashley's just training him down. Potentially this works, but it's match point, and to risk an all-in on Looney is a lot.
Yeah, Gelu has to trinket out of the leg sweep. Good burst here by Blizzo. He's got Zwen as well as his images up, but a beautiful Ring of Frost denies that. Now Gelu once again looking for a Greater Pyroblast. Finds it on Blizzo. Kidney Shot bash onto Looney. Good pressure here for the Chalky Milkman. This aggression onto Looney has been paying off. Gelu falling a little bit behind though. Clyde trying to deny that with the Iron Bark. But if you look at mana, Clyde not doing so well. Looney, he has to stay alive. Still has the Iron Bark with the beautiful Death Grip from Zeepai. Gets Looney a little bit of time. And that time gets denied there by Clyde with that beautiful offensive Cyclone. Now if Ashley can reconnect on the Looney, he could definitely be in a lot of trouble.
Clyde is running Feral Affinity. I want to see him just go cat form right now and try and get a kill. He's going to do it, initiating with some extra damage. Gelu just needs to support a tiny bit. They may be able to push Looney over the edge. Ursula's Vortex pulls Looney back in on his escape. Greater Pyroblast gets asphyxiated. Zeepai with these clutch shutdowns right at the last second to allow Looney to easily recover in the backline. Ashley has given up on that chase towards Looney. Instead, now going after Zeepai, but it might be too little too late. Burst is incoming. Touch of Death is about to explode. This may potentially be an Ice Block force. Not enough damage to push them over the edge. Gelu stabilizes. They go for a blind on Looney, and now Looney's trying to mix it up. The opposite trinket anyway to remove that blind, to deny Clyde from drinking. Does he know where he is? It looks like they are able to stop Clyde from regenerating mana. No opportunity there for the Chalky Milkmen to stay alive, and they may have to trade an Ice Block for no mana at the back end of that drink. Temporal Shield and good kiting and avoidance on Gelu's part manages to hold onto it for now, but how much longer? The only opportunities I really see here is another swap to Looney, but even that may not be enough. He pre-bear forms the Shadow Step stun, denying Ashley once again.
Yeah, and Gelu with this Greater Pyroblast build is really limited on his damage, especially looking for Greater Pyroblast on Looney. It's just so unlikely he can actually land one that manages to be significant. Potentially.
Oh, counterspell.
That was a nice counterspell on Looney. Still under pressure, but with Barkskin and Iron Bark, I think he's going to be able to survive. Gelu, once again, these Ring of Frost are really effective against Windwalker Monk, especially when they have their Storm, Earth, and Fire available. That will crowd control the images, really limiting the damage that the Windwalker Monk has at his disposal during that time. Clyde, once again, I believe, looking for a drink in this situation, needs to be able to regenerate a little bit of mana. Looney caught into the Kidney Shot, trades out the Barkskin. Anti-Magic Zone gets dropped out by Zeepai as well. Looney not wanting to overreact in this situation. Wildcard Gaming always very clinical with the way they rotate their defensive cooldowns. It's very rare we see them overlap or mess up, and that's one of the things that makes them such a strong team.
I'm really wondering if Wildcard Gaming are ever going to pressure Clyde with that Feral Affinity. Perhaps they are worried about leaving the Greater Pyroblast Mage open, and that's probably why Gelu is running it, is so if they try and rush down the Feral Affinity, they're going to die to Greater Pyros, and if they can't run down the Feral Affinity, then Clyde just gets to benefit from its effects. I think that is some good coordination on the part smart of Chalky Milkmen to try and mix things up here against Wildcard Gaming as they battle against the meta, but now they're totally tapped on mana. Touch of Death is available for Blizzo, and at any point that is going to deal devastating damage. We see a Gladius Maledict Assault. It gets stalled out for a couple of seconds, at least breaking up the combo, and that may now allow Gello to recover. Double Maledict Temporal Shield heals big. Good stall there by Chalky Milkmen. They stay alive a tad bit longer, but they're on match point, and I still don't see any openings for them.
Clyde with absolutely no mana left, once again looking for a drink, but he's left Gellu all behind. Iceblock gets traded out, not overlapped with the Cauterize. That is the only thing that will keep Gellu alive during this next push of Wildcard Gaming. Clyde has to hold on a little bit longer, looking for crowd control on Looney, but now Gellu caught into the stun. Is there going to be enough damage to take him down and force out that Cauterize? Zipai still being pressured, but he's able to easily heal through that with the Death Strikes. The pressure from Chalky Milkman in this matchup has been so insignificant, unfortunately. Now Gellu falling further and further behind. Incapacitate onto Clyde. Gellu getting lower. Temporal Shield gets traded out before the potential Cauterize. That might be enough to keep him alive during these moments. He's going to be rushing away, trying to stay alive, trying to kite Clyde with the Iron Bark, but now no Iron Bark, no Temporal Shield, no Cauterize, no Ice Block. Wildcard Gaming is one clean setup away from potentially closing out this game.
If they don't kill Zipai in the next kidney shot, I don't think that they're ever going to kill him, but they're not even stabilizing for an opportunity to do it. They've got the Combustion, they've got the Vendetta, but Zipai can just trade with Trinket anti-magic zone. So unless he's stunned on his Trinket, which isn't available, no Vanish for Ashley. They just used the kidney shot on Looney to try and go after him, but there's not enough gas in the tank for a road trip down to Restoration Druidville. Now Gellu's getting counter-pressured, not much left for him. Blinks to center field. Good evasive maneuvers so far, but just not enough to really get any sort of counter pressure. Temporal Shield seconds away from bouncing Gellu back into the fight. Vendetta now ready and available. They've got to do something soon. They're going to pull the trigger on it, trying to take Zipai down. They play it out patiently and don't overlap cooldowns. This way they can get a 2-for-1 on this Iron Bark potentially. Gellu still trying to sneak in a greater Pyroblast. That may be his opportunity to find a kill against Wildcard Gaming. Looney sneaks away to make sure that he's got the late game advantage. Clyde has to shut that down, but he has to heal Gellu at the same time, and while he overextends, they go for damage and take out Gellu. 3-0.
Oh, man, and you got to say Chalky Milkmen did play so... Waka waka.
And at this point, locking in the Arms Warrior and the Elemental Shaman, typically a strong composition into Destruction Warlocks historically. However, having seen it played out since the recent Honor Talent Demon Armor, it is not nearly as effective, so I'm not sold on this pick by ABC.
Not completely, but I still think it's not a bad blind lock in here for ABC. Jamie now caught into a leg sweep. Decent pressure coming in from Rezus. I'm actually going to be checking out his talents here in a second to see if he's running Tiger Eye Brew. We normally see that, and it shreds through a lot of the armor that an Elemental Shaman does have available. Great pressure here from Plot Twist early on off the back of that Infernals as well as Dark Soul from Infernion. But once those fade, that's when pressure will start going in favor of ABC, as they're more of a stable composition. They don't bring big burst cooldowns, but more just consistent damage, consistent defense, and that really is the power of the composition ABC has available.
All right, Infernion's Infernals have now faded, so his damage is going to be a lot lower, and that means he's going to be a less of a threat. So he's playing more defensive at the corner, trying to duck in and out. But in the meantime, Asgarath wants to take an opportunity, knowing that this is a low point of damage in time in this match, tries to get crowd control, but not able to bank any significant defensive cooldowns off the back of that initial exchange. Now looking for a Cyclone with his Ursul's Vortex, pulls Numlis back in his line of sight. Well played by Asgarath, but still, simply put, just no counter pressure.
Yep, but that was the Life Cocoon from Numlis onto Infernion, so now Numlis won't have that to sort of fall back onto if he really needs. Good pressure still on Jamie Asgarath with the Iron Bark. This is an opportunity for Plot Twist to try to push through, but not really too many defensives left available for them. Nixie getting grapple weapon there by Rezus, or Numlis actually, who is running it in this matchup. And Rezus, interesting enough, is not running the Tiger Eye Brew, often for the Alpha Tiger talent instead. When he Tiger Palms a target, it will allow him to get additional haste, sort of a bloodlust effect. It makes the Windwalker Monk Fist of Fury particularly powerful. When he can have that up, it will allow him to do a lot of damage.
I think one thing teams are going to be exploiting now, since the focused growth nerfs on Restoration Druids, is switching targets. Life Bloom is way more expensive, and you have to press it 3 times on a target to stack it to 3 on that focus growth to get the bonus healing effect. So you can waste 3 global cooldowns of the Druid by just switching to a target that does not have Life Bloom stacked up. That Druid then has to expend 3 global cooldowns and all of the mana to switch it. And so far, Plot Twist have been bouncing between Jamie and Nixie as targets, which has taxed Asgrath's mana. However, during this moment, he's found an opportunity to sneak away and potentially regenerate that mana lead that Plot Twist were establishing. Not too significantly, fortunately, for their side, but this switching target strategy is going to be a lot more effective.
Yeah, Rezu's good pressure here, but he gets caught into the Stormbolt. Rezus could go down. He's in execute range. Gets the Karma in the nick of time in order to survive. That was a nice setup from ABC, but they're reversing the pressure here onto Nixie. Die by the sword has to be traded out by Nixie. Ironbark as well. So much damage. Could ABC potentially fall? Nixie has to play defense, line of sight, get out of trouble as soon as possible, and he managed to do so, but that was a lot of pressure for both teams. Both Nixie and Rezu's going to be very vulnerable moving forward.
Yep, both teams really. I mean, it's mostly Asgrath's mana that is going to be taxed, and it's the defense cooldowns of Plot Twist that ABC are looking to navigate through, but Nixie's falling even further behind. Heroic leaping back to safety, gets Ring of Peace back into midfield. Infernion blasting, another Ring of Peace. They've got it pinned in the air like a volleyball, trying to tee off for a kill. They spelllock Asgrath. They've got the Infernals coming crashing down onto Nixie. Everything is looking so good for Plot Twist to close it out. They've got 2 more seconds till that Ironbark defense is available. Asgrath trades it out immediately, but it may not be enough. If Infernion gets a single Chaos Bolt here, they're likely to close. Asgrath denies the Chaos Bolt with a Cyclone. Nixie, he's desperate. Does he retreat away? He's so terrified right now of the next incoming Chaos Bolt. Jamie has Grounding Totem. They need to make sure that they get an interrupt or a Grounding Totem on this Chaos Bolt. Going for that Mortal Coil, gets denied on the double. Good decurse there. Jamie gets feared up, dispelled instantly. No Chaos Bolt timing, despite that huge wave of crowd control. Perfect execution. Plot Twist damage is being thwarted away. Grapple weapon slowing down Nixie. Ring of Peace again, getting Nixie punted into center field. Chaos Bolt gets Storm Bolted. Good denial by Nixie, doing his best to stall this out. But if Asgrath can't get mana back, it's not looking too good.
Yeah, but he does manage to sit down for a drink and regenerate most of his mana. Now ABC has a massive lead before we get into Dampening. Infernion could be in some trouble. Potentially need to see a Ring of Peace coming in from Rezus and a Numbless to keep him alive. Nixie with good pressure, though. Caught into the leg sweep. Rezus looking to counter pressure. Put the damage onto Nixie. Asgrath is able to deflect with the Ironbark. Nice incapacitate. ABC manages to survive that setup. Now Infernion, he's going to have to run away, try to avoid some damage, as now it's Nixie and Jamie's time to get aggressive.
Oh, Stormbolt! He's got 1 more second. Touch of Karma. Sneaks in for Rezus again. A close call. Almost getting killed there in game number 1. Not wanting to lose that blind pick advantage. Neither team wants to give away that. We see Asgrath's ability to drink allows his team to stay in for a late game, but pressure from Plot Twist cannot be disrespected. Nixie needs to be careful for another at least 30 seconds to have access to his die by the sword defense. They do have decent counter pressure. Rezus is forced to retreat away. Nixie gets pre-grapple weaponed on the Stormbolt Sharpened Blade. That's the only reason Rezus isn't dead right now. Rezus on fire in terms of defense and offense to stay in it, but the mana advantage is establishing itself.
Yep, Numbless now caught into a Cyclone. Rezu's still in a lot of trouble. Caught into the Lightning Lasso. Infernion trying to back him up with the Shadow Fury, but I don't know if Rezus is going to be able to get away. He needs to escape. Gaining to safety. Has his Touch of Death rolling, but really can't take advantage of it. And now Nixie all over him. Rezu still kiting behind the pillar in line of sight of Jamie. Jamie gets some damage off. Rezu's finally reconnecting with Numbless. Numbless able to heal him up, but what a close call that was for Plot Twist.
30 seconds on Infernals for Infernion. He needs to get a kill with this set of Infernals. So before that point, they would like to force something like an Astral Shift or an Ironbark, and they may be able to get it. If they can get Astral Shift from Jamie, Nixie tries to hold on to it with a triple intimidating shout, followed up by a Hex. Good crowd control. Nice swap onto Infernion. That banks him an unending resolve, a very powerful defensive cooldown out of the way. And amidst this crowd control attempt in burst moment, Asgrath snuck away and regenerated back to full mana. ABC have set themselves up very well in this position, but they did trade Astral Shift before the Infernals. Infernals have landed. Infernion needs to get a Chaos Bolt with this set of Infernals. Can he get it, or will he get denied? Double leg sweep. Where are the Chaos Bolts? He's casting it, but 1 second left in the stun. He gets 1, he needs 2. He gets wind sheared, he goes for the second, he fake casts the pummel. He gets stunned by the elemental. He trinkets to go for it. Chaos Bolt flies in. Does huge damage to Jamie, but not enough to kill. Jamie ducks around the corner and stays alive.
Yeah, Jamie manages to escape with his life back to Asgarath. Numlis might have to go and sit down for a drink at some point in this match, but if ABC can deny that, they're going to have a massive lead in terms of mana. And now Infernion, with no offensive cooldowns, no defensive cooldowns, very vulnerable. Jamie now getting Chaos bolted twice with the Legacy coming in from Rezus. Asgarath has to trinket out of the Incapacitate to keep Jamie alive. He doesn't have an Astral Shift. Ironbark still a few more seconds, and ABC hold on. They managed to do so. Asgarath doesn't want to be greedy with this defensive cooldown. They need to keep Jamie alive. Nice Shadow Fear from Infernion. Plot twist, they're able to keep up the pressure. Infernion falling a little bit behind. Jamie gets interrupted on his Lightning Lasso. Beautifully done by Rezus. Jamie running and hiding for his life. He needs to get out of line of sight. Beautiful pummel on that Chaos Bolt, allowing Jamie to survive.
Sharpened Blade may reduce enough healing on Infernion for them to find a kill during Jamie's Hex, but no, it does not appear to be enough. Infernion stabilized. Numlis gets out of the crowd control. Mana still in favor of ABC. Asgarath caught crowd control, but Stormkeeper popped. Jamie's looking to burst down Infernion. He's looking to just counter pressure. Legacy by Jamie. He trades Astral Shift, trying to just respect the pressure as they look to close this matchup. Netherward denies some damage. Infernion gates back to the pillar. Nixie in hot pursuit. Grapple weapon once again from Rezus. Denies execute, but it's not going to be enough. Earthshock closes the game out. ABC looks solid on their Thunder Cleave.
And I also do want to say a plot twist can manage to take this game too. They've taken a good map out of the pool, and moving forward, they definitely do have some hope. But if ABC can take it here, they're going to be a team that's even scarier headed into game 3, and then they'll have every advantage headed into game 4.
Yeah, Infernion getting sapped early on. Looks like Nixie's going to be putting most of his initial pressure onto Rezus, trying to deny the opener from Plot Twist. Now Nixie turning his attention onto Infernion, and I feel like it's going to be up to Nixie in this game, making sure he's landing well-timed kidney shots, well-timed garrotes, as well as well-timed kicks to slow down Infernion's damage, not allow him to get off those Chaos Bolts. And if they can effectively do that with Jamie's interrupts, I think ABC will be in a good spot.
Infernion is ramping up. Jamie's going to need to avoid him here, but he's playing quite aggressive. This could be an opening, but he's getting bursted. Earthshock, kidney shot, denies the incoming Chaos Bolts, and Numlis is forced to trade. But Numlis has made a change as well. He is now running that way of the Crane, perhaps realizing if they had a tad bit extra damage, they could have taken ABC down in game number 1. Now activating that way of the Crane, leading the charge, and with basically 2 monks punching Jamie, it's going to be quite deadly. Ring of Peace. Is there another Ring of Peace? They knock Jamie off. Double knock with a spell lock. Perfect timing by Plot Twist. Not enough to force an Astral Shift, unfortunately. I do love the double Ring of Peace plays by Numlis and Rezus. They're definitely enjoyable to watch. I'm still looking for that perfect volleyball setup with a couple Chaos Bolts. It would definitely be an MVP moment for sure if they can execute.
Yeah, a very satisfying moment, but Infernion so early on, forced to trade out the Unending Resolve. Numlis with no trinket. Infernion could be in a lot of trouble. A follow-up cycle. Numlis needs to hold on. He has 3 seconds on the Life Cocoon. Infernion gets knocked away. Gladiator Safeguard procs through. They shred through it. Infernion getting low. Numlis has to connect the Life Cocoon and manages to do so, but the pressure's not ending from ABC.
I mean, the Assassination Rogue is easily bringing more consistent pressure than the Arms Warrior, but its defense is a little bit lacking. So now with no Gladiator's Medallion, Rezus may look for a swap to Nixie. Asgarath needs to be ready for that. With no Gladiator's Medallions, there is an opening, but ABC get the first crowd control, which means they will dictate the pace. Infernion tries to deflect, but Jamie instantly decurses the Curse of Havoc, so Mortal Coil only hits 1 target. Now Infernion can't benefit and look for Chaos Bolts, but Rezus looks to reverse with a double leg sweep of his own. Asgarath instantly responds with Iron Bark, stabilizing Jamie for now. Infernion looking for Chaos Bolts, gets punted right into the Shadow Sight Eye. That's terrible for Infernion. He's now going to take 5% more damage. Perfect placement on that Thunderstorm. Hex secured by Jamie as he sets up the MVP play. Lightning Lasso gets removed by Infernion, but still, Numlis locked down in crowd control off the back of that perfect Thunderstorm. Infernion looks like he could fall. Ring of Peace buys him a couple of seconds. Double Ring of Peace might buy him a few more. Life Cocoon stalls it out. Infernion stays alive.
That was such a beautiful play by Jamie. A hole-in-one on that eyesight, so Infernion was going to... Oh, what just happened? The burst damage from Plot Twist, and this is why you can never leave a Destruction Warlock alone.
I mean, they have the tools to do it, but it's gonna be interesting to see. We saw this composition usually being played with the Druid, with the double Warlocks, and the Druid can kind of add a lot of additional stunts and drag the game on for a long period of time. Now they're going to be on the clock here, but Asgarath is playing that Feral Affinity, so he could also be a potential kill target. The Way of the Crane is also gonna give them a lot more damage.
Hey, 1 bolt was enough to do it last game. Let's see how 2 bolt chefs can cook up a victory. Yes, Dave, trying to get that cast out nice and early.
Yeah, I actually watched Infernion's stream, and he was running this composition exactly. So I know that he has practice with it. We'll just have to see if they can execute and find the win condition that they need. Already offensive cooldown is going to be used there by Plot Twist. Are they going to be able to find any Chaos Bolt? Nixie eating a couple as he gets low. Grapple weapon used by Numbless. I like that. Oh! They can get the Chaos Bolts on Nixie with a grapple weapon. He's not going to be able to heal himself up. But Nixie line is sighting. He's going to be feeling pretty safe against Infernion. And yes, Dave.
Nice strategy by Plot Twist. Grapple weapon, obviously removing a weapon from a melee damage dealer, and you need that as a Death Knight to use Death Strike to heal yourself. So Plot Twist obviously know that Death Strike is very powerful in the current meta and have crafted this composition to try and deal with it. And it was a close call early on. They pulled a lot of defense from Nixie, potentially even further moving into the fight with multiple Chaos Bolts flying in from two sides. Nixie is just out in midfield soaking all of the damage. Fortunately, with his weapon not grappled, he is easily denying it.
Yep, as long as he can get those Death Strikes off after huge damage lands, that will increase the amount of healing Death Strike really can do, and that's why Nixie should be able to keep himself alive. And I think that's potentially why they went with the Death Knight. The Death Knight can actually tank a lot of his damage, keep himself alive, and actually stay in open field. But if the game goes on longer to potentially Dampening, which I could definitely see happening with these two compositions, Nixie won't be able to keep himself alive nearly as easily.
All right, we see a grapple weapon. As Yestave and Infernion not casting Chaos Bolts, that now looking for it, but not coordinated. Double Mortal Quell right at the end of the grapple weapon. Multiple Chaos Bolts. Nixie trades Anti-Magic Shield, and that's going to be super effective against two spellcasters. Ducking around the corner for a few seconds as Asgarath sits through crowd control. Jamie will break that fear with Tremor Totem. Asgarath looks like he's trying to sit down for a drink. Infernion pushes forward to deny that. Manages to do so with the Rain of Fire. Good positioning there on that front. Potentially securing themselves a mana lead deeper into Dampening. And I'm not entirely sold on this Frankenstein Cleave just yet.
Yeah, I think it's going to be difficult for ABC. Destruction Warlocks are not an easy target to take down. They have a remarkable amount of self-healing. Normally we have to see Mortal Wounds from the Windwalker Monk or the Mortal Strike from the Warrior in order to take a Destruction Warlock down, especially later on in Dampening. But Nixie and Jamie, they don't have either of those tools available, so it's going to be no healing reduction onto Infernion or Yes Dave, but still finding massive damage. Numbless is forced to trade out the Life Cocoon, but that's really not that big of a deal. Numbless with the Life Cocoon, it's a very short cooldown. We need to see Nixie and Jamie continue the pressure.
All right, Jamie gets a stun out there onto Yes Dave during that grapple weapon. So anytime this icon next to Nixie's health is there, he gets Nether Warded on his stun. Nice play there on Infernion. That puts Nixie even further behind. Crowd control solid in this position, but a Swiftman from Asgarath paired with any anti-magic shield is likely to thwart the assault here from Plot Twist. Fortunately, they are developing a significant mana lead. Ring of Peace, not going to be having two of those, unfortunately. Infernion gets bursted down by a huge Earth Shock. Jamie ducks around the corner. Nixie pulls Infernion in. Yes, Dave has just been tossing Demonic Gateways, repositioning it constantly, but now Infernion's been left in midfield. Drops that Unending Resolve, pairs it together with big Chaos Bolts. Nice denial there on Nixie's part. That anti-magic shield, that purple zone of defense, the only thing keeping Jamie alive, but its defense is being thwarted as he gets Mortal Cold into midfield. Another Chaos Bolt connects. Yes, Dave unable to find his, but the mana is even further ahead for Plot Twist.
Yeah, Jamie with that grounding totem. You can see the cooldown below his frame. It is that purple button, the purple and white icon there. Once that's available, he can press that and just basically redirect all the spells Yes, Dave and Infernion are casting to that totem, avoiding them entirely. And it's super effective against a spell like Chaos Bolt. So Jamie needs to make sure he's getting down those grounding totems. And Yes, Dave and Infernion, if they want to push through that defense, they need to be baiting it out or killing it off instantaneously in order to actually get the damage they need to close out the game.
Huge damage on Infernion by Jamie as mana starts to even out as we get close to Dampening. Numbless moving across the map as he sees Asgarath very far back trying to drink, but as he pushed, he exposed himself to crowd control. Jamie took full advantage of that. Yes, Dave gating in to maybe try and find Asgarath, but they don't find him until he was managed to drink a ton of mana back. So now the late game advantage is in favor of ABC, but you can't count a Chaos Bolt out, especially when there are two. Icebound Fortitude traded a bit prematurely on Nixie's part here, and now with that defense not available for Infernals in another minute and 20 seconds, Nixie definitely needs to be careful.
Yeah, definitely. Infernion still taking damage, and like we kind of talked about, as Dampening gets higher, the self-healing of the Destruction Warlock will be limited, and I think if Nixie can Death Grip Infernion out of line of sight or in an unopportune position, they might be able to get the damage that they need to actually take Infernion down. Bash now onto Numliz. Numliz mana is not doing well. Askerath has actually been able to sneak away and get drinks. If Numliz can regenerate mana, I think Plot Twist will be in a decent position, but with the way ABC is playing right now, they're playing very safe. There hasn't been too many moments for Plot Twist to actually close out the game, and it seems like the ABC, they have a compositional advantage with the more I see this play out.
Just very sturdy, durable classes. Bringing the Elemental Shaman with Grounding Totem is enough shutdown to deny those double cast of Chaos Bolts. Nixie is quite potent against spellcasters on the Death Knight. This composition is playing out very well for ABC. And now Infernion against the wall, very low on health and limited defense. How much longer can he stay in the fight as he ducks around the corner? Numliz catches a couple heals. Ring of Peace denies the reconnect, buying Numliz more time to heal, but even still struggling to just top Infernion off, finally bringing him back to full health. Now, here's the moment that Nixie is exposed. Infernals available in 4 more seconds on Infernion. I do think that this is the set of Infernals that they need to secure a kill with. They're going to plant them instantly here on Jamie and Askerath. Infernion looks to ramp. Rain of Fire, burning some soul shards, increasing the damage with that Grimoire Supremacy. Live Cocoon so that Infernion can get aggressive. It looks like they're going to go after Nixie. He anti-magic zones before they even gets hit, but there's still a second set of Infernals available, and he may need to start retreating back to the pillar. Nixie gets Mortal Coiled. Double setup here. Where are the Infernals?
Numliz actually sitting down for a drink. This is huge for Plot Twist. Numliz regenerating 60% of his mana in that situation, putting him ahead of Askerath, and that's exactly where you want to be at this point in Dampening. Now he has mana to actually push forward. Nixie getting lower. Like we talked about, the longer we go into Dampening, Nixie can't heal himself up for nearly as much as we've seen in the past. If Infernion and Yestave can actually land these consistent Chaos Bolt, Nixie's going to be in a lot of trouble, Sid.
All right, but there's still another set of Infernals. They dealt with Infernions, but now Yestave has an opportunity to strike, and he's got all the damage, and Nixie's got no defense. One Chaos Bolt connects into Iron Bark. Askerath connected that defense 1 second before that big hit, but still, Infernals are rinsing out. Grapple Weapon denies Death Strike if they can get in line of sight. Yestave just can't get in line of sight. Neither can Infernion. Those Chains of Ice, super effective. Good avoidance on Nixie's part to deny that critical moment, an opportunity to get a kill. But suddenly, I believe Numliz, with a significant mana advantage, caught into a Hex, but Nixie is not connecting, so this Hex is not going to be paying off too much. Mana in favor of Plot Twist, and they've swung the game in their favor.
Infernion, still big pressure onto Nixie. Anytime Nixie is line of sighting with Chains of Ice on Yestave and Infernion, he's going to be okay, but when he's in the open, Yestave lands another Chaos Bolt. Nixie could be in some trouble. Jamie with a nice Grounding Totem does keep Nixie alive for now, but they did get the anti-magic shell. They got the Grounding Totem. Now's an opportunity for Infernion and Yestave to actually land the significant damage that they need. Numliz still has a mana lead. Mortal Coil coming out onto Jamie. 1 Chaos Bolt, 2 Chaos Bolt land onto Nixie, but without offensive cooldowns, those aren't going to be nearly as strong as they need to actually take down Nixie.
Yestave getting pushed back. We do see the team of ABC pinned down at the pillar. I would like to see Infernion and Yestave split up. Right now, they're currently both on the left side of the pillar, so Askerath and Jamie can avoid both of them by playing on the right side of the pillar. If they split up, at least one Destruction Warlock will get to cast, so I'm not a huge fan of their positioning currently. Big setup here with that Feral Affinity. Tons of burst onto Infernion, trying to catch him off guard, but the longer they stay in midfield, the more devastation Yestave will rain down from above as both healers are slowly becoming totally tapped on mana. Nixie gets bursted as Askerath gets spell locked, denying his incoming healing, but it's actually Infernion on the back foot. Double Mortal Coil to flex their assault. Infernion looking for Chaos Bolts. Anti-magic shield from Nixie denies those. But after that defense, there will be an opportunity for more Chaos Bolts to sneak through. And with basically no mana remaining on Askerath's part, these Chaos Bolts are effectively just going to kill the target while Askerath cannot heal it back. They need to be careful and play ahead of the damage. I wouldn't even be minding a preemptive Iron Bark before the damage hits. Infernals engage. Infernion's looking for a kill.
Yeah, Icebound, Fortitude, as well as Iron Bark are traded out by ABC. Infernion getting low, gets the Life Cocoon from Numliz to stabilize. But now the damage from Yestave and Infernion is going to be significant. Nixie could be in a lot of trouble. No defensive cooldowns really left to work with, except the anti-magic zone has to be preemptive with that cooldown to avoid as much damage as possible. But still, Infernion lands the Mortal Coil, looking for a huge Chaos Bolt, gets wind sheared there by Jamie. Good backup. Jamie with no Grounding Totem, no wind shear. Now Infernion, he's getting aggressive. Uses the Unending Resolve, looking to close out the game. Nixie responds beautifully with the anti-magic shell or zone. And that's going to deny Infernion, and he's actually completely wasted that defensive cooldown.
Yeah, now he's an exposed target. Maybe it's a bait. Maybe they're trying to bait Nixie into the open so Yestave can close the game out with his Infernals. But They're so low on health, it's a very risky gamble to make here for Plot Twist on game number 3. Infernion in dangerously low health. Nixie makes the trade, denying the kill from Dave, and Infernion's just slowly and surely falling behind. Numbless cannot connect enough healing. Life Cocoon buys him a few seconds, but now gets wind sheared by Jamie. Great crowd control, Lightning Lasso. How much damage do they have left? It's DR'd, so it's not going to be doing too much. Infernion gates to safety, avoiding the Abomination, but Asgarath now jumping into the fight with that Feral Affinity, trying to add just a little bit more damage to close, but he's terrified of his teammates going down, isn't staying aggressive. Nixie in trouble!
No!
But Infernion at the same time, Scare Shock! Will it be enough? Infernion holds on at 10%. Asgarath can paralysis. If Asgarath just stayed aggressive, maybe he could have taken Infernion down. He's still trying to. Infernion running for his life. Drain life. Trying to just soak up any extra health. There's no mana left. Lightning Lasso is not being interrupted. Asgarath does some damage. Infernion stabilizes. Jamie likely to fall. Shadow Fury secured. Asgarath, at least with Innervate, has some free healing. Jumps in to get some free combo points too, but he gets Mortal Coil away. Infernion stabilizes, and Dave with the carry Chaos Bolt.
Oh, and those Warlocks gonna send ABC back to the
You have to make sure that you don't get Chaos Bolted 2 times essentially by either one of these Warlocks before that happens, because if you do, it's gonna cost a lot of mana. You don't have any of that self-healing.
And starting off, Nixie instantly going to be the target receiving some of that pressure. Then we are going to see that Havoc coil into a Havoc coil. We're getting it started here. Plot Twist trying to close it out.
Double whammy, double Inferno here. Will Nixie fall? No Spell Reflect as he traded out earlier on. Maledicts are getting activated. Nether Ward denies it. Spell Reflect on one Chaos Bolt, pinning that back towards Dave, but there's more incoming. Nixie Heroic Leaps away, and as the warrior in this specific matchup, Heroic Leap is not an ability you use very heroically. You're always going to be using that to run away from your opponent and get back to the pillar with your teammate. If Nixie does overcommit that Heroic Leap, he then loses his one escape to safety. So let's keep an eye out for that Heroic Leap. Nixie manages to stay alive early on against the initial assault. One thing that Plot Twist did in that last game that they haven't done in this one is they split their cooldowns up into 4 main points. They would activate Infernion's Infernals, and someone would make a trade. Then they would activate Dave's Infernos. Someone would make a trade. Then they would activate the Dark Soul of Infernion. Someone would make a trade, and then Dave would activate his Dark Soul. And by creating 4 points of cooldown pressure, ABC basically couldn't attack without being exposed at some points. I do not want to see Plot Twist overlapping their offensive pushes any further into this fight.
Yeah, Infernion is playing the Nether Ward. Dave actually opting out of that, and I think he's going for the root on his Conflag, so he's going to be able to help out a little bit more by keeping Jamie and Nixie in place because they're not targeting him. Seems like ABC, they want to try to shut down Infernion as much as possible as he is the Destruction Warlock main, so limiting his damage output, in theory, would be better than being on Dave, but Dave has been doing a great job so far in this matchup, building up pressure, Chaos Bolt landing, Infernion getting low, in a lot of trouble. It is the Unending Resolve, Numbless as well. He has the Life Cocoon, opting not to use it, trades it out as well. Now Infernion looking for the counter pressure he needs onto Nixie, but ABC in this matchup with this composition, they seem to have a lot more damage with the Mortal Wounds effect from the Warrior. It's going to be reducing the healing of Infernion as well as Numbless, and in theory, Numbless should be using a lot more mana in this exchange. Infernion falling a little bit behind by not having that Unending Resolve.
Infernion getting caught in a Storm Bolt, typically a moment of burst for the team of ABC. Infernion dropping a Demonic Gateway. I think he should be pulling further back to try and get Jamie into midfield. Now with Jamie in midfield, Dave can go after him a little bit. I think it's important to switch targets against a Restoration Druid and not attack the target that currently has Life Bloom if you want to win on mana. Grapple Weapon on Nixie as they burst him down, looking to deny die by the sword, but not enough damage to really force any sort of panic. Mana is significantly in favor of Plot Twist, but Asgarath obviously on that Restoration Druid can sneak away and drink. At this point in time, jumping in aggressively, trying to dish out some extra damage, but then getting feared. Tremor Totem will break Asgarath out. I do think Feral Affinity is super effective in this matchup to add some extra damage to the team and crack that Demon Armor defense. Perfect Spell Reflect, pinning a Chaos Bolt back onto Infernion, putting Numbless behind, but still with a mana lead. I think pressure has been in favor of ABC, but mana is definitely on the side of Plot Twist.
Yeah, Asgarath, he needs to sneak away for a drink at some point unless they feel like they can close out the game. Infernals get dropped out. Nixie could be in some trouble. Asgarath immediately responding with the Iron Bark to keep him alive. Nixie in a little bit of trouble. He's going to be using that little side to line of sight, but a beautiful Ring of Peace keeps Nixie locked down. He responds with the Blade Storm. Heroic Leap out of line of sight once again, and now Asgarath has an opportunity to top him off. Nixie with these hit and run strategies, I think, are great. When he has Spell Reflect, when he's high on HP, you can sit in, you can tank a lot of the damage, you're going to be feeling pretty safe. But once you run in the open and you don't have those available, these Chaos Bolts landing from Yes Dave are going to be significant. Nixie's still low. Asgarath having to use a lot of mana to keep him alive. Mortal Coil lands, and Infernion looking for a Chaos Bolt. Grapple weapon onto Nixie. It looks like Asgarath trying to crowd control up Numbliz, so ABC can get some counter pressure. Infernion under fire right now, but it doesn't look like the damage is significant enough. Nixie gets feared away. Finally, a Stormbolt going to land onto Infernion, but he's still sitting healthy.
Estave and Infernion once again overlapping their Infernals. I would really like to see them split those up so they have a two-pronged assault against the team of ABC. Double Mortal Coil, good setup here by Plot Twist. Good follow-up. Nixie isolated. Spell Reflect denies the kill for now. Buying time for Asgarath to connect Iron Bark, but mana is still not looking too hot. Numbliz is babysitting Asgarath to stop him from being able to sneak away and drink. So long as they can stay on top of Asgarath and deny that, I think Plot Twist might look to close this series out, but still the pressure from Nixie, you have to respect that he's constantly been pinning Infernion against the wall. Yes, Dave has been counter-assaulting. It's anyone's match. ABC are on match point. If they lose this, they will be out of the tournament. This is their opportunity to try and get into a top 3 placing in terms of points. They have to stay alive in the tournament. Will they be able to do it? They're running out of time.
Yeah, Asgarath almost completely tapped. Dampening has just kicked in. Infernion's still in a little trouble, though he does have the Unending Resolve back up, and I don't mind it. If Infernion trades it out pre-dampening, it's unlikely he's going to go down, and that could rotate back up, and now Infernion's going to be feeling relatively healthy once again. Nixie's still caught into the open. Chaos Bolt's landing from both Warlocks. Infernion gets denied, but still, yes, Dave able to get these casts off, and this is the problem for ABC in this matchup. Plot Twist with 2 high threat targets like Yes Dave and Infernion on the Destruction Warlock. Nixie's always going to be vulnerable.
Ooh, Sharpened Blade. Infernion low on health. It's going to be difficult for Numbliz to recover. Infernion goes for a Mortal Coil. Unfortunately, that pathing brought Nixie right back to a point where he could line of sight any incoming damage. Numbliz, I believe, with a significant mana advantage, and that mana advantage could just be enough to close this series out. What are you going to do, Asgarath, with basically nothing left in the tank? They've got good pressure on Infernion. Nixie goes into battle stance. He's trying to get a kill here and now, but this is a risky maneuver. He's taking 20% more damage in exchange to boost his damage. He's just trading down by the sword to try and stay ahead of the pressure, but now he's trading down by the sword before the Infernal timing. Nixie exposing himself to try and get a kill. It's a risky gamble on match point.
Yeah, definitely. Nixie still low once again in battle stance, looking to close out the game. Numbliz doesn't really have too much left. Life Cocoon coming up in 8 seconds. Infernion trades out the Unending Resolve. Infernals get dropped out for Infernion as Nixie runs away. And I think if ABC can weather the storm, Asgarath potentially finding a drink here. Numbliz trying to shut him down, does manage to. Asgarath, he has nothing left to work with, but Infernion needs to be careful. He can't overextend in this situation. Leg sweep on Nixie. Second Chaos Bolt connects. Nixie, how are you going to survive this? Shadow Fury lands. Jamie trying to throw in some heals, but he gets interrupted. Double Mortal Coil from Yes Dave, denying both Jamie and Asgarath any assistance on the Nixie. Nixie manages to survive, but what a scary moment.
2 targets are low. Asgarath has no mana remaining. Nixie in defiance tries to get an intimidating shot on the whole team to stay just alive a couple more seconds. He has to go into battle stance if he wants to find a kill, but he'll expose his defense. He has nothing to stay alive. He's retreating away with the Blade Storm, avoiding the Ring of Peace knockback. Good awareness, but Yes Dave gates in line of sight, secures a fear. Jamie's out of position. He can't Tremor Totem it. Asgarath is feared across the universe. Nixie's going to hide around the corner. Jamie sets up a Stormkeeper. Nether Ward available. If Infernion activates this, he could reflect a lot of damage, opting not to, potentially saving it to avoid Winter. They overlap their stuns. A mistake here on Infernion. Numbliz stabilizes with Life Cocoon. Counterattacks with double Mortal Coil. Nixie in trouble. Double bolts. Now he leaps back to the corner. Tries to get out of line of sight. They need to close in. 1 Warlock on one side, 1 on the other. They got the box behind the box. How much longer can Nixie stay alive? The crowd control looks good. They Tremor Totem the fear, but they follow it up with a Mortal Coil. Iron Bark needs to be enough, but at 17% dampening, it may not be. They dodge the Spell Reflect. They wait for its defense to fall. They connect the Chaos Bolt, and they look to close. Asgarath doing whatever he can with nothing left in the tank. In the meantime, Jamie trying to hard carry the team, getting a Hex over on the enemy healer. Now Nixie trying to burst down Infernion, who is far on the back foot. Asgarath continues to chain. ABC might turn this around.
Yeah, Infernion's still low. Ring of Peace phase. He's in execute range. Can they take him down? Infernion trying to hold on, but Asgarath comes in with the killing blow, and ABC saves the lives in this series.
That's the first time.
For that 4th spot of land, I like the composition, and the map as well makes sense for it from Plot Twist. I would have liked to see Yes Dave on that Arcane Mage just because he's so good at it, but I think the Frost Mage should do very well as well in this matchup.
Plot Twist taking very interesting series is just another page in the book for them, but they want this one to end with a victory. Elimination series, ABC versus Plot Twist. Toleveron going to decide it.
Yep, Nixie caught in midfield. Yes Dave has been on Nixie, and we've seen Rezus on Jamie, so early on a split strategy here from Plot Twist. Yes Dave already using his Icy Veins early on, but not really able to get too much done with that. Asgarath did manage to trade out his Iron Bark to deflect that attack, but that's the only defense they were able to get out.
I think Yes Dave making a bit of a mistake here, throwing away his Ice Block in the waiting room and then activating Cold Snap, so he's going to be playing down an Ice Block, but obviously ABC may not know that information, and they've been attacking Rezus, so that mistake may not ultimately cost him here in game number 5, but definitely hate to see it.
I don't know how much it matters, to be completely honest. Normally we don't see the Mage's Ice Block coming out until a little later on in Dampening, and he is ultimately against an Arms Warrior, so I feel like Nixie has no choice but to kind of go after Rezus in this matchup. You can see the positioning ABC has. They're just playing at the pillar. They're forcing Rezus to come in, and anytime he is pushing in and on Jamie, Nixie normally backs up and tries to get onto Rezus. Now he's just chasing down Yes Dave, and
what if it's a mind game?
This is an ideal situation. Yes Dave now looking for full polymorph. Nixie Stormbolts him, but you can see him just waddling away. Now trying to reconnect to Rezus, but without that stun available, now caught in a Frost Nova, he's not going to be a big threat.
There's no way he did it on purpose, right? I mean, maybe he Ice Blocks on purpose, tries to make the other team think that he's vulnerable, so Rezus is left free. Is Yes Dave with like the triple 200 IQ play, or is it just a complete throw? Trying to find out. Either way, ABC have committed a lot of their resources on Rezus throughout this fight, and good crowd control initiation here banks them powerful defense, maybe a kill, huge damage. Touch of Karma on dangerously low health as Rezus retreats, but will he stay in it?
Still die.
Reconnects, barely escapes. He needs a couple of big heals now. Numbless gets pummeled. Asgarath in their face looking for Cyclones. Not able to secure anything on a Numbless. Rezus survives, but these have been very close calls for Rezus. Now he's looking to reverse the pressure with that Touch of Death activated. Who is he trying to gun down? Doesn't look like this Touch of Death is going to bank them any significant push there, and now Rezus is behind.
This is exactly what ABC needs to do. Normally you want to get on the Frost Mage, try to deny some of his damage, but instead just sit at a pillar. Go on a much more vulnerable target with Rezus. I think Rezus should ultimately be able to survive if he plays patient enough, careful enough. Now caught into the Storm Bolt, gets bursted down. Nixie getting counter stun there by Rezus, trying to avoid some damage. Ultimately going to be running away once again. You can see Numbless, he's playing the grapple weapon, and he's been doing a good job with that in these matchups onto the Warriors and Death Knights to slow down their damage and their defense a little bit during these moments of burst that Plot Twist has available. But as I was saying, for ABC, they just need to ignore Yes Dave essentially at this point in the match. Chasing him down is basically a waste of time for this Arms Warrior, and I feel like he's not really going to be able to get out too much damage.
Nixie going into battle stance, but not going after Rezus. Trying to go after Yes Dave and chasing down the Frost Mage. He's going to get Frost Nova'd, dispelled. Yes Dave then Temporal Shields while Nixie is guaranteed uptime. Looking for Polymorph, Bates Pummel, gets Spell Reflected on the Polymorph, but that Yes Dave will gladly take that with an Earth Shock hit to heal himself back to full. Life denies any damage regardless in that play. Asgarath is behind on mana. Plot Twist initiate crowd control into Asgarath. Jamie makes a trade, activating that Astral Shift evenly with the Icy Veins from Yes Dave, a 1-for-1 exchange, but Asgarath is going to need to sneak away and drink. If he gets denied on this, Plot Twist have a solid route to victory.
Yep, and Yes Dave with just all-out control onto Nixie, keep him in Novas, keep him in Polymorph, and that's actually an effective way of burning through a healer's mana. You Polymorph Nixie, all of a sudden he has to dispel that, and that does cost a healer mana, so Asgarath, he has to consistently dispel on cooldown. We'll be going through that mana as fast as possible, but now sitting down for a drink, unable to find it. Numbless has been doing a good job making sure he's able to chase down Asgarath. Yes Dave taking some pressure, Temporal Shield should deflect the kill. It could be vulnerable. Still Nixie all over him. Once again, another Polymorph gets dispelled.
Yikes.
Yes Dave in a lot of trouble. Forced into his first Ice Block, but you can see Cold Snap with only 17 seconds left. Yes Dave should have that second Ice Block available to him, and essentially using it in the starter room didn't really matter too much.
Asgarath sneaks away, regenerates some mana from being out of combat, but not able to sit down and get a drink to regenerate any significant advantage in that regard. Jamie is behind on cooldowns, pinned against the pillar with this Ring of Peace, unable to move and taking tons of damage, but Yestave's out of position. It actually looks like they're trying to set up a one-on-one here with Yestave versus Nixie and Jamie versus Rezus, and I think that one-on-one definitely goes in favor of Plot Twist. Asgarath once again trying to escape and find a drink, gets denied by Numbless, but he had to use Gladiator's Medallion to prevent it, which now exposes himself to crowd control moving forward. This next Lightning Lasso of Jamie could be devastating if he can stabilize.
Yeah, Rezus gets a light sweep onto Jamie. Good burst damage here from Plot Twist to try to take Jamie down. Nixie now with a beautiful, intimidating shout all over Yestave. They might be able to force out the second ice block. Nixie's been doing a good job staying on target onto Yestave, making sure he is pressured down. Now into a full polymorph, gets dispelled by Asgarath. Looks like Life Cocoon will be traded out by Numbless to keep Yestave afloat, but still, the uptime Nixie's had in this matchup has been kind of devastating onto Yestave.
Yeah, Ring of Peace protecting him right now, but Jamie is the one counter-assaulting, killing Yestave by himself, and now Nixie will reconnect out the back of it. Frost Nova buys a couple of seconds for Yestave to escape to center field. Asgarath is constantly running on the outskirts, looking to regenerate mana, managed to get a significant amount there. Now a huge lead. ABC have managed to swing themselves back into this fight on Game 5. It's an elimination match. The loser of this will be sent home. Either one of these teams are looking to earn enough points to overthrow the current high point earners in that 3rd and 4th place spot to qualify to the spring finals. There's a lot on the line here.
Yeah, and definitely either one of these teams can pull out victory here. There's been a lot of back and forth pressure and momentum. Jamie getting low, he gets interrupted, trades out the trinket. Asgarath uses his trinket as well. Jamie needs to get out of line of sight. Yestave, if he can find any damage, he could definitely be in some trouble. Blizzard gets dropped out. Nixie now into a Frost Nova, looking to reconnect, but the follow-up freeze from the Water Elemental will deny that mobility and damage from Nixie as he's caught into a polymorph. Yestave really just trying to wean Nixie here, just keep him snared up, keep him in Novas and polymorph, avoid his damage at all costs, while Rezus has high uptime on Jamie, and that seems to be the game plan here for Plot Twist.
Lightning Lasso gets counterspelled instantly. Good reaction by Yestave. That Stormbolt was 1 second too late. Now Rezus on the back foot, caught into a Bashi pre-Karma as the incoming stun. Asgarath locked down in polymorphs, 15 seconds away from Astral Shift. Ray of Frost fully channeled. Is Ironbark going to be enough defense for Jamie to stay in the fight here in game number 5? ABC face elimination. Asgarath's Innervate available just in time to catch some free healings and a free Cyclone, denying the damage of Rezus, allowing himself time to stabilize, giving Jamie an opportunity to breathe and get a Hex, potentially now opening an opportunity to counter-aggress. Yestave getting just destroyed by Nixie. If he's able to stay on target, they stack together for a triple fear. Nice play on Nixie's part. Can they keep a chain going? They get the Capacitator Totem. Anything else? Stormkeeper, he fake casts the incoming interrupts. Stormkeeper gets leg sweep right at the last second. Now Jamie under fire.
Yeah, Jamie taking a lot of pressure. There's the leg sweep. Frozen Orb gets dropped out. Jamie has to kite out of that. Asgarath's mana not doing well. Looking for a Cyclone. Unable to find it, unfortunately. Another double leg sweep coming in from Rezus. Good pressure here onto Jamie once again. Asgarath looking to deflect it with the Ironbark, but Yestave playing the Kleptomania talent will be able to remove all the overtime effects. But in the meantime, Rezus getting bursted down as he's looking to kite away. Life Cocoon traded out by Numbless to keep him alive. Rezus has not a single defensive cooldown left in this game. If Nixie can reconnect, Rezus gonna have to run away.
I mean, he's already doing so, but he's in midfield against an Elemental Shaman. That's not where you want to be when facing down the barrel of Jamie's Elemental Shaman gun, and Rezus retreats around the corner. Numbless moves back. Ring of Peace prevents Asgarath from drinking. Mana actually evens out at this point. It's still anyone's fight. Jamie on the back foot getting soloed by Yestave. Jamie now running away, but Yestave tries to move for the kill, gets denied. A couple healing surges are going to stabilize Jamie. Rezus now moves in to reconnect. Touch of Death available in 5 seconds, but Rezus is getting counter-aggressed. He's got Touch of Karma. They could go all in for a kill on Jamie. Asgarath tries to sneak away for a drink. They've got the War Banner down to try and get a leg sweep with it, but they kill it off. Numbless now gets caught as they swap to him in midfield. He's in trouble. Fortified Brew exchanges for that attack. He ducks around the corner and starts to recover. Mana still tapped on both sides. They're at 23% dampening, basically critical mass in this match. Game 5, and it's down to the wire.
Yeah, Numbless pushing in, uses the Maledict onto Jamie. Can he prevent enough healing? Asgarath completely tapped on mana. Yestave just needs enough time for one more spell steal with that Kleptomania. Jamie will be completely free of heal over time effects. He gets interrupted, caught in midfield. Yestave teeing off with Frostbolt after Frostbolt to potentially take him down. In the meantime, Rezus getting low, activates the Touch of Karma, and I think Plot Twist, if they can keep up this pressure, they can close out the game. Jamie has to hold on a little bit longer, Sid.
Ring of Peace back into that Frozen Orb. Perfect placement. Jamie on the ropes. Asgarath gets counterspelled. Yestave secures the series. Plot Twist stay alive in the lower bracket, and ABC miss an opportunity.
Plot Twist is able to do it, and you know, I have to ask, will he be able to take it, or will the Chalky Milkmen with the Fire Mage, like Zico did note, and the Druid be able to run away with game number 1?
The first and potentially and likely last discipline priest, Ratify, makes his final stand in the lower bracket. He's lost in the forest of infinite restoration druids. Will he find his way out? They get good crowd control, a great start for surprise effect. Ashley tries to deflect with a kidney shot over onto Ratchet as well. But Gelu's still on the back foot. Temporal shield a couple of ways from going off and healing him back into the fight. Will it go off in time? It doesn't heal up for anything. Ice block is forced, and surprise effect brings some surprise.
Yep, that's ice block. This is temporal shield, cauterized, trinket, basically everything from Gelu. Clyde luckily still has a little bit of defense left. That was a beautiful setup very early on. Oh! Effect. Smoke bomb gets dropped off on Gelu. Do they have the damage to take him down? Maldic flying in from Ratify as he charges forward. Trinket's out of blind, wants to continue the pressure, looking for a fear onto Clyde. Gelu looking to escape with his life, blinks away. Ironbark, the last line of defense. We need to see some counter pressure from Chalky Milkmen fast.
Vendetta available for Ashley. They could pull the trigger on that, go for an ice block. They get a polymorph on a Ratify. He pre-barriers the incoming crowd control, so this barrier of light is reducing damage on the rogue Ratchet and likely to deny a kill. Activating that right before a crowd control. Now Ratify is open to get crowd control himself onto the enemy healer Clyde. They pull the trigger. They're trying to go for a bursty kill on Ratchet. They counterspell, they bash up Ratify, they deny the heals, and Ratchet's in trouble as Chalky Milkmen look to bounce back here in the first game battle. Cloak of Shadows at 10%. Ratify still in crowd control, locked out for 3 more seconds. Ratchet trying to stay alive, manages to escape around the corner, but if anyone connects, he's likely to fall. Ratify is so far away, moves back in line of sight, tries to catch a quick penance, seems to be stabilizing. Ratify gets interrupted. No crowd control though. Ratify connects some heals. Still keeping up the damage. Mana even on both sides here. Gelu an exposed target for surprise effect, but they've got to kill him soon.
Yeah, Gelu now into a kidney shot. Do they have the crowd control they need onto Clyde? Ratify in a very defensive position right now. Trades out his Rapture to keep Rasher alive in this matchup. Keep him afloat and aggressive. Matter of fact, Ratify's been doing a great job with his mind controls to slow down these greater pyroblasts. So you let Gelu cast a greater pyroblast, and halfway through, you cast the mind control and you can deny it. Right now, Soqueen, he actually trades out his Ice Block to deny Gelu any crowd control on Ratify. That was nicely done as he's not the main target in this matchup. He can afford to use his Ice Blocks as a trinket, but now very vulnerable with none left and no trinket. Chalky Milkman could make a swap onto him with crowd control on Ratify.
Despite a great start, they're losing out on their opportunities to get a kill on Gelu. Ratify locked out of the fight. It's a 3-on-2. You do see Ratchet far away from the fight, though, predicting this attack on himself and able to avoid it while Ratify has crowd control, but Ashley moves in. Gelu blinks forward. If they can connect together onto Ratchet, he's likely to fall. He's out of line of sight. Ratify gets life grip back, but he was able to get a reconnect. Perfect timing on Ashley's part to stay on target and gets a Shadow Step kick off the back of it. Great initiation by Ashley. If they can lock Ratify up for a few more seconds, doesn't look like they've got it. Counterspell, actually. Rapture not available. Ratchet's still low on health. Chalky Milkmen swinging this match back in their favor.
Yeah, but Gelu could be in some trouble. Icy Veins almost available in 9 seconds. Ratcher, he's managed to hold on to the Vendetta. Clyde, no Ironbark for another 25 seconds. There's definitely a window of opportunity here. Ratcher having to play defensive, and that moment of opportunity is slowly but surely slipping through Surprise Effect's fingers. Polymorph on Ratify, kidney shot on Rasher as he trades out the feint and the evasion. Now turning their attention onto Soqueen. Greater Pyroblast lands. Death from above. Beautiful power barrier going to be dropped out by Ratify in order to keep Soqueen alive, but trading out all his ice blocks. He's so vulnerable. Gelu in the meantime taking quite a bit of burst. Both mages could fall at any moment.
Yeah, it's a race to the finish here in game number 1 between the Chalky Milkmen and Surprise Effect. Mana is even. The cooldowns are fairly even as well. Gelu needs another 30 seconds. Soqueen's not going to have that luxury, and Ratify is really against the wall. Whoever gets crowd control first is likely to take this, and it looks like Gelu will be. No, he gets denied by Ratcher. Can they keep up the chain? Ratify gets bashed. Gelu goes for the polymorph, gets denied on it by Soqueen. Now a Greater Pyroblast. Who has the stop? Greater Pyroblast gets psychic screened by Ratify. Very important to interrupt that powerful blast. Gelu blinks back in line of sight to go for another Greater Pyroblast. Ratcher moves in. Mind control of Ratify stops it. Garrot onto Ratify, denying premonition potentially. Gelu's not going to move in to try and get any crowd control. He wants to make sure that Ice Block is available before making a move. Good presence of mind on the part of Chalky Milkmen.
And here's the problem. Gelu, he now has his Ice Block, and he's able to easily trade it out. That was a scary moment, but because they got his Ice Block so early on and Chalky Milkmen were able to hold on, Gelu got his Ice Block back. Choccy doesn't have the same luxury, still a minute and a half before his is available. Cheap shot on Rattapie, Road on Ratcher, Gelu looking for a greater Power Blast, doesn't look like he's able to find it. Rattapie once again with the leap of faith, grips Ratcher to line of sight, out of line of sight to safety, but Ratcher has to charge in. They need to try to find some pressure. Clyde is using Innervate right now, topping his team off completely, but now that he's out of mana, Ashley could be in a little bit of trouble. Clyde moving in, Ratcher also under fire. He gets low. Rattapie absolutely tapped. He has no mana to keep Ratcher alive. This is one of the problems with the Discipline
Smoke bomb.
You have a lot of offense, but now completely tapped. Ratcher's in trouble. He trades up Cloak, Gladiator Safeguard. Maybe he can hold on. There's a potential opening here onto Ashley.
Yeah, they reverse the pressure, forcing 2 defensive cooldowns on the side of Chalky Milkmen. Vendettas are available for both rogues. The next attack is likely to close game number 1 out as both healers are tapped on not only mana but as well on cooldowns. Rattapie gets locked down first. Chalky Milkmen pull the trigger, likely to kill Ratcher, who is there to save him. Rattapie trinkets, drops the power word barrier, premonitions the follow-up, and now looks to reverse the pressure as it's a race to the finish with 10% health remaining. Is Ashley going to be the one to fall? Ratcher defiantly holding on, but Clyde stabilizes Ashley. Ratcher isn't going back up in health, and Rattapie's got very little to work with, managing to hold on. Blind now, Clyde trinkets. Can they get a polymorph on that trinket and try and punish? Doesn't look like they can. They go for an Evan Bolt. Big flurry combo. Ironbark denies the kill there. Ratcher is far more isolated. Both rogues in danger as Ratcher retreats away, and Ashley might just get taken out. He does! Surprise effective, done it. Rattapie wait, maybe not completely out of the woods here as Gelu gets a full polymorph. Ratcher, you gonna stay alive? Rattapie still locked out of the fight, but they can't connect any damage. Ratcher stays alive, and Discipline Priest gets a win, 100% win rate, at least on broadcast.
The lone rat in the wilderness. The Chalky Milkmen going to have more flexibility in their rogue mage based off their healer and the fact that Gelu can play just about every single mage spec. But we already saw Rattapie and Surprise Effect managed to take one. Will they be able to find a quick win here?
Rattapie gets Gelu in combat so they can deny the early sap attempt, and Gelu tries to get a great power blast, but Ratcher actually gets caught in center field in a sap. Are they going to set up off the back of this? They are. Good initiation by the Chalky Milkmen. This is a great start for them. Pain suppression activated right before that Ring of Frost is denying a lot of incoming pressure onto Ratcher, buying Rattapie time to stabilize. Blind gets trinketed. Now counter pressure on Gelu as Ratcher tries to lead the charge here. Frozen Orb placed as well. That's boosting the damage quite heavily of the entire team. Surprise effect. Gelu under fire. Blinking out, try and avoid Ratcher, but he's still in midfield. So Queen can free cast. Clyde in a position to stabilize throughout this initial exchange. No significant cooldowns forced on the side of the Chalky Milkmen. Now Gelu open to cast some greater Pyroblast, getting one, cooking up a second.
Yeah, is he going to be able to find it? Ratcher forced to line of sight, and all that damage did get denied by Rattapie and his Rapture cooldown, which does empower his Power Word Shield, so he's able to throw out the Power Word Shield and deny a lot of that greater Power Blast damage. But definitely Gelu's going to be a huge threat if they just allow him to cast out those massive spells. Clyde pushing in now, looking for crowd control. Rasher into a kidney shot. They're looking to reverse the pressure onto Ashley. Clyde trinkets out of the blind. Is there anything else? Doesn't look like there's follow-up crowd control. Gelu in the meantime getting CC onto Rattapie, and Ratcher forced to run away and play defensive, although Ashley's is the one that's low. Can SoQueen sort of carry the pressure right now and keep Ashley low? Really is the question.
Cheap shot to set up the team of Surprise Effect. They get the chain. It's 3-on-2. Ashley makes the trade. Let's see if Rasher can get maybe a Shadow Step kidney shot on that evasion. Unable to as Ashley vanishes into the shadows, invisible to the opposing team, and buying a couple seconds to mount up and then re-stealth potentially. Shadow Step into the water. Ellie to escape to safety and interrupt the mind control. Good evasive maneuvers. That sets up Clyde to get a Cyclone, but there's no damage just yet. Greater Pyroblast, not able to connect. Ashley now on the back foot. No follow-up, unfortunately, onto Clyde at the back end of that. Maybe they don't need it with that added Discipline Priest damage. Ashley is taking a huge hit. Now getting mind-controlled into the enemy team. Getting polymorphed by Gelu to stop him from getting mind-controlled into enemy territory. Gelu now blinking in to get triple crowd control. Gelu on fire.
Yeah, Gelu excellently done, but Ratcher was able to deny that with a nice, well-timed interrupt with that kick. Rattapie out now into a Ring of Frost. Ratcher all alone. He has the Cloak of Shadows as well as the evasion. Manages to land the kidney shot onto Ashley. Ashley should be fine. Greater Power Blast lands from Gelu. Ratcher's still in a lot of trouble. Rattapie's going to have to play catch-up in this situation. Vendetta committed by both rogues as they're looking to get aggressive. Gelu looking for a greater Power Blast.
Got one.
Manages to land it onto Ratcher, but he's going to be able to survive. really insignificant damage. I'm not exactly sure what the damage reduction was.
Oh, Smoke Bomb gets dropped. Huge hit for the Chalky Milkmen. Rattapie gets cheap shot on his trinket, and Ratchet is likely to fall, and he does. Chalky Milkmen strike back in game number 2, tying this up 1-1.
Phew, they're going to be able to get the quick win this time. Surprise effect. Right now, all tied up. This one promises to be outstanding.
Yeah, and we know Rattapie likes to play very aggressive, so I think on hook point, it's going to be much easier for him to push in, land those Psychic Horrors onto Clyde if he can get in position. Chalky Milkman's going to have to do a good job denying, or Surprise Effect is going to get that additional crowd control they really need.
So Queen double blinking in to get crowd control and completely gets shut down by Gelu. Gelu on point here in this series and likely to carry the team to victory, getting a greater Pyroblast onto Ratchet, bursting him down quite heavily. Blind to pull the trinket of Rattapie. Both healers using their Gliders medallions on blind. A likely exchange, but now makes them open to crowd control moving forward for likely the rest of the fight. Ratchet still under so much fire. No cooldowns have been committed, and Ratchet is struggling just to stay alive.
Yeah, a lot of damage coming in from Ashley and Gelu. Gelu looking for a greater Power Blast once again. Not opting to commit a Shimmer charge in order to push in and actually finish that cast off. Now looking for crowd control, manages to secure it. Rattapie with a beautiful pain suppression will keep Ratchet alive for a little bit longer. And I think Ratchet, he's actually gone Dark Iron Dwarf in order to survive a little bit better in this series, not opting to play the human racials anymore. Now Gelu under pressure, and it looks like Surprise Effect, they realize they have to go on Gelu. They have to pressure him, or Greater Power Blast is just going to ultimately be too much for them to handle.
Even still, Ratchet on the back foot. Both teams in trouble at this point, and neither is really committing their offense. Gelu has to ice block. Fair exchange, though, for Vendetta, and Icy Veins having already been committed. But now he needs to try and get aggressive with no ice block to fall back on. They've got the initiation. Everybody locked down. They need 2 more seconds. Dire Safeguard, no, the triple DR bash from Clyde closes the game out here on game 3, and now Chalky Milkmen advance to match point.
Oh.
I think Rattapie just did a great job in game 1 of predicting crowd control and trading cooldowns ahead of the damage, whereas in these last 2 games, they're getting caught off guard without making a trade right before it happens. They have to make a split-second decision, go all out, especially when they're playing with that disciplined priest. So we see Gelu in the starter pipe trying to get a greater Pyroblast when no one can connect to him, and then getting punt slow fall to the opposite side of the map. A bit of a cheeky start for Gelu.
Yeah, definitely. Ratchet, let's see what he does, still sitting in stealth. Who's going to be the target of choice, as it looks like healers and the mages just exchanging blows early on. Rattapie finds a mind control, bringing Gelu to an unideal position. Gelu with a nice Dragon's Breath denies that opener. Beautifully done. Gelu's been really impressing me in these matchups.
Yeah, he's been on the ball. Good teamwork with Clyde here to get a Cyclone. Ratchet now getting bursted in a stunlock combo, looking for 100-0. They're on match point. They can't afford to throw. Rattapie keeps them alive just a little bit longer now to counter-aggress, leading the charge towards Gelu. 3 members attacking Gelu. Clyde Tranquility's around the corner with that Iron Bark stabilizing Gelu. Good positioning. Mind control onto the Greater Pyroblast. Blinks out of line of sight to deny it on this one, but gets counterspelled by So Queen. Gelu now instead looking for a Ring of Frost. Snags that around the corner. Great positioning on Gelu's part. Ratchet in trouble.
Yeah, So Queen managed to sneak in a Polymorph onto Clyde. Now Gelu could be in a little trouble. Ratchet's falling lower. Secures the full Polymorph. Rattapie gets interrupted. He needs to find healing. Gelu getting low. Can they take him down? Needs to be careful in these moments. Definitely with the Temporal Shield alive, he might be able to survive. He still has a Cauterize to fall back on as well. Rattapie pushes in, manages to land the double fear. Gelu all by himself. He's just going to be trading out a Greater Pyroblast, gets mind controlled on it. Ice block is forced out. Gelu stabilizes. Nice heals from Clyde, but that was a nice setup from Surprise Effect.
Surprise Effect stay in this series. They're trying to battle it back and bring this to a game number 5. Ratchet once again against the wall, pre-Cloak of Shadows. This is where he needs to preemptively use cooldowns while his healer is crowd control. Now using evasion, predicting an incoming stun rather than waiting until after it happens and dying in it. These are the risks that Ratchet has to take, but even still just taking tons of damage, trying to counter-aggress. The powered barrier hitting Ratchet in these potential final seconds as Rattapie desperately tries to connect one heal. Gets interrupted on the Shadow Men, goes for a penance. Chains that into Rapture, grips the smoke bomb, connects a couple of powered shields, but those are getting stripped away. Ratchet under fire, Ashley pushing forward to find a kill, 17 seconds away from that Vendetta, and likely that Vendetta will secure the kill. Gelu caught in a smoke bomb. It's do or die for Surprise Effect. Do they have enough damage to take down Gelu in this attack? It doesn't appear to be the case, and if they can't, Ashley's Vendetta now ready and available, and there's really nothing left for Ratchet to stay alive so long as Ashley just pulls the trigger on it. They're just gonna go. Gelu blinks in, Rattapie line of sights the blink in on the Dragon's Breath, but even with no crowd control, damage alone may be enough to put Ratchet down, activating that Fire Blood taking off all the damage over time effects, trying to buy Ratify a couple more seconds, Shadow stepping in, but Clyde gets the clone, and this is match point as Chalky Milk look to close. Ratcher, how much longer can he take this? Garrote silence now off the back of the Cyclone, blink in potentially on the Polymorph, gets shut down, but it doesn't matter. Dragon's Breath is more than enough, and the Chalky Milkmen advance.
And we are not going to see a Disciplined Priest able bodies on their roster. Will that be the factor that comes back to bite this team that has faced some of the craziest roster swaps I think we've ever seen in AWC history? We'll find out right now.
This is the first time we'll see a Numliz on Restoration Druid as well, showcasing that Mistweaver, typically a Disciplined Priest main, also playing the Shaman, now diversifying onto the Druid. But an inexperienced Druid against a Rogue Mage is definitely a weak point that the Chalky Milkmen can look to exploit.
Yeah, I would have actually liked to see Yesdave pick the Dark Simulacrum in this matchup. Numliz gets sapped. Ashley might find an opening. Smoke Bomb gets dropped. Combustion, everything. Numliz responds. Trinket and Barkskin to keep himself alive. Beautiful cross-crowd control there. Yesdave and Rezu's going to have to help Numliz out. He's not out of it yet. Ironbark gets committed. Gladiator Safeguard. Anti-magic zone. Every defensive cooldown. Clyde with the beautiful Cyclone. Numliz caught all alone. If he gets caught into another kidney shot, it is lights out for Numliz.
Another Cyclone buying more time for Ashley's kidney shot to reset. Numliz needs to get in bear form. Does manage to do so, but it may not be enough. Numliz is so far behind, and huge hit takes down Numliz in game number 1. Chalky Milkmen smell blood in the water and immediately
down plot twist. This time they're not trying to send them to the lower portion of the bracket. We're already here. They're trying to send them home.
And the one thing I want to look for in this match is if Gelu's playing the Greater Power Blast build, I think he might get a little bit more value out of the Flame Cannon Firestarter build where he can reset his combustion more often, because I think with double ring apiece, the amount of interrupts Infernion brings, Rezus as well, it's going to be really unlikely he manages to find that spell, but we'll definitely have to see. Ah, there it is.
See good initiation by the Chalky Milkmen. However, Infernion looks to counter-aggress with Infernals having already landed. Gelu decides, all right, it's time to run. Infernion gates after them, looking to try and build up some burst damage, needs to spend some more soul shards, try and get some interrupts. Fear on Ashley, that opens up Chaos Bolt potentially. Infernion fake cast, doesn't find it. Gelu nails the counter spell. Gelu has definitely been on point. He could be the X factor for his team to carry them through the rest of the tournament. We see a blind committed, and Numliz reluctantly not trading his Gladiator's Medallion, and when you don't do this, crowd control can snowball out of control. Infernion dangerously low on health. The chain gets dropped, but they go for a smoke bomb play. Numliz moves into the cloning. Life Cocoons into Cyclone, immuning the Life Cocoon effect. Clyde on fire in this series. Bashing up Numliz, now getting the Gladiator's Medallion, but that may not even be enough. Another Cyclone. Where's the Polymorph? They get the Polymorph. Infernion still all alone. Jumps down out of line of sight, but Ashley continues the chain with the Garrote. Wave of the Crane activated to stabilize the team, and this is what happens if you make that trade, not using your Gladiator's Medallion onto that blind. You end up overlapping every single defense, and now Chalky Milkmen have an opportunity.
Yeah, Numliz with the Way of the Crane, managing to keep Infernion alive. Counterspell now on Numliz. The setup is not over here. Chalky Milkman looking to close out this game. Infernion getting lower. Numliz in the back line, able to get out some heals. Greater Power Blast trying to be cast out by Gelu. Can he manage to find it? No, Rezus interrupts him. Another Cyclone by Clyde. Clyde actually sitting down in plain sight once again, regenerating all his mana. Infernion looking for some counter pressure, manages to find the Mortal Coil onto Gelu, looking for a Chaos Bolt as well. Ashley could be in some trouble, but with the positioning Clyde has, I think he's going to be able to easily keep Ashley and Gelu up. And now Clyde pushing in, looking for crowd control, finds the bash on Numliz, followed up by a Polymorph. Beautiful setup once again by Chalky Milkmen.
Yep, and let's see if they can get enough damage to nag themselves a kill and move to match points. Another Polymorph. Clyde's spell lock is fading. If he can get in position for a Cyclone, he moves over, looks for it. Numliz able to avoid it thanks to Infernion's Fear. Life Cocoon going to be more than enough to stabilize Infernion. Despite that close call at the start of the match, the defensive cooldowns are rotating back and readily available. Gelu now on the back foot. Chaos Bolt's flying in as he tries to reposition away from the fight, taking control of Rezus with Polymorph, stalling out the damage, giving Clyde room to breathe. No advantage really forming in terms of mana just yet. Blind now with no Gladiator's Medallion. This is typically where we see the match end. Ashley continues the chain. Vendetta Vendetta available. Surprisingly, not just pulling the trigger on that right away, now pulling it. Ring of Frost gets Mortal Coiled. Infernion deflects the chain. Great positioning there on Infernion's part, allowing Numbless to now heal. Now counter-aggressing with a Fear on Clyde, looking for big Chaos Bolts. Gets interrupted multiple times and denied by the Chalky Milkmen as they try and chase Infernion down. But that was supposed to be the game-winning play, and they didn't win the game. So now Plot Twist can swing this back in their favor.
Yeah, the one thing about Gelu running the Greater Power Blast is he's able to bait out a lot of interrupts. So Rezus using the Spear Hand Strike, Infernion using his interrupt to deny Greater Power Blast damage, but then all of a sudden, Gelu can go for the polymorphs that he needs. He actually manages to find one. Looks like Numbless will be able to deflect it with his Life Cocoon. They shred through it immediately. Infernion could still be in some trouble. A nice setup on Gelu as well. Rezus trying to find some counter pressure. Life Sweep coming in from Numbless. Onto Ashley to slow down some of that damage. Infernion looking for some counter pressure. Clyde sits down for a drink, but unfortunately, Ashley, he has to trade out both his Cloak of Shadows and Feint. Luckily, still has Trinket Advantage and Evasion if he needs to get out of trouble a little bit later on in the match.
Gelu gets knocked off the side, tries to reconvene with Clyde, but they might stack up for a double leg sweep. They've got to be careful of that. Gelu really taking a lot of this damage. Ashley with Smoke Bomb available. Could switch to Rezus maybe with a Smoke Bomb. Not going to do it. Instead going for the safer target, the Warlock. Stalling out the damage. Looking for a sneaky Ring of Frost around the corner. Gets denied. Infernals have landed. No Cloak of Shadows to trade. Ashley needs to retreat away, ducking around the corner and just avoid combat. May look to retreat across the battlefield. Gets kept in combat by Numbless, Crackling Jade Lightning. They need to just run away from Infernion. They opt to abort the mission, polymorph him, deny any sort of infernal pressure. He drops a gateway to try and get across the map. Gelu knows that's a threat, interrupts it, but now there's nothing to interrupt the Chaos Bolt potentially. They go for the double leg sweep. Infernion pops the Dark Soul. Nether Ward to try and immune a polymorph. Gets Dragon's Breath on it. Ashley still taking huge hits even without the Chaos Bolts from Infernion. They don't manage to pull any defensive cooldowns just yet. Fear now onto Clyde. Ashley vanishes into stealth. Smoke Bomb still available. Would like to see a setup on that with Vendetta here shortly from Ashley. Going for the blind. Kidney shot now on Infernion. Numbless trades Liar's Medallion this time for blind. Doesn't want to have that crowd control snowball out of control. Maybe they could swap to Numbless. I actually think that would be their best maneuver in this position if they can find it.
Yeah, they can get a kidney shot on Numbless. It looks like Vendetta and Combustion are going to be available for Chalky Milkmen, so definitely an opening there. And I think they might try to go for it. They're holding on to all their offensive cooldowns for now. All they need is one clean setup. There's the kidney shot onto Numbless. Gelu using everything he can with the Combustion. Numbless has to survive a little bit longer. He has the Life Cocoon. If he can connect it, he'll be able to live. Manages to do so. Weathered that storm quite nicely, but still not out of it yet. He gets interrupted. Numbless, what are you doing? He gets interrupted. He's still in so much trouble. It looks like Rez is trying to keep him alive with the counter pressure, but Ashley in hot pursuit. Numbless portals away. Clyde there. Another interrupt coming in from Gelu and a bash. Do they have the damage to take Numbless down? What a close call. Numbless still not completely out of it yet.
Ashley committed all cooldowns to all in on that attempt and didn't find a kill, so now Ashley needs to be careful moving forward. Mana still even on both teams as Plot Twist keep themselves alive in the lower bracket for another chance to battle it back for a rematch on Championship Sunday. Gelu under fire, Rezu sustained on target with that Tiger's Lust. Infernion not able to really get over there just in time, instead going after Ashley. Numbless caught in polymorph. Could be an opportunity for the Chalky Milkmen here to get an unending resolve. That's what they're really looking for on this push, but don't even find enough damage to scratch Infernion. Infernion now looking to bounce back, baiting an interrupt with the Fear, looking for a Chaos Bolt, gets Dragon's Breath on. I love Gelu's positioning, always at a corner, so he can duck in and down on those stairs to avoid any cast of Infernion. No interrupt available. Ashley gets leg sweep, but no trinket for one more second. Clyde stabilizes, but maybe not enough with multiple Chaos Bolts flying in. Ring of Peace onto Ashley, denying him from retreating back behind the pillar. Infernion moves over. They force Clyde off the box. He doesn't want to get stuck back there with two monks. That would not be a good position for him. Now he's going to jump to the opposing box, trying to max range them and force Numbless out into center field. To managing to do so, Gelu almost catches Numbless, but denied by Infernion. Meteor being dropped. Gelu trying to maybe force a kill here on Infernion. Clyde gets a clone. The setup looks good with two members in crowd control. Infernion respects the 3-on-1, trades unending resolve, reducing the damage, but even still, that may not be enough. They go all in to kill through the defense. They get a full polymorph. If Numbless trinkets this, he'll be exposed to blind later on. He needs to try and sit through this. Infernion tries to scare them away with Infernals, but they're not being scared away. They continue the chain. Infernion could easily fall. Numbless really doesn't want to have to use the Gliders Medallion, connects the Life Cocoon. Still getting crowd controlled. Infernion cycloned at low health. Chalky Milkman with a big opportunity here.
Yeah, Gelu looking for a greater Power Blast. Can he get it off? Rezus with beautiful counter pressure. Gelu could be in some trouble. forced into his first and potentially only ice block of the game. That was overlapped with the Iron Bark. There's definitely an opportunity for Plot Twist to put a point on the board and take Gelu down. Greater Power Blast once again being cast out. Gelu gets interrupted, and Infernion could be in some trouble. Bash, Cyclone onto Numliz. Gelu finds the Polymorph full. Numliz has to trinket out of it. Now Infernion in a lot of trouble. If Ashley has blind available, Infernion could ultimately go down.
Yeah, but they have to stay alive to that point. They've got no mana really to do so, and not much defense either. It's anyone's match here, and potentially the final minutes here. Gelu falling behind Ring of Peace, punting him back to center field. He opts to blink back, but now he's out in the open. Infernion says hello. One Chaos Bolt will connect. Gelu in a lot of trouble. Iron Bark on 5%, just enough maybe to stay alive. This is the blind attempt. If they can't kill Infernion during this chain, I don't think they ever will. They don't get the sap. Life Cocoon stabilizes. Gelu now on the back foot for likely the rest of the fight. Desperation, polymorphs onto Rezus. Gets interrupted on the Ring of Peace. Looks for another polymorph. Needs to get control of Rezus as long as possible. Numliz doing what he can with not much left in the tank. Clyde gets a tiny bit of mana at least, but Numliz is now in a full polymorph as both teams battle it out to the bitter end.
Yeah, Infernion in a stun lock. Polymorph from Numliz. Do they have any follow-up? Clyde looking for a Cyclone. If he can land that, Infernion's going to be in a lot of trouble. Clyde goes for it. He manages to find it. Rezus gets interrupted, but Infernion's still healthy. They just don't have the damage to really push through. Ashley finally reconnecting. Gelu managing to find some spells. There's a bash on Numliz. The crowd control still looks good from Chalky Milkmen, but Clyde almost completely tapped on mana once again. Gelu's so vulnerable in this situation with no ice block for another 3 minutes.
Way of the Crane, 3 members, boosted damage. Gelu gets Ring of Peace out of Clyde's line of sight, trying to get back into it to stabilize, but there's no mana left. Numliz now in a polymorph. Infernion not with much left. How will he stay alive? Rezus is trying to counter pressure at the same moment. Touch of Death about to go off. Rezus needs to carry the team here while Infernion is pinned down. Can he do it? Gelu treats Temporal, but it's a couple seconds too late, and Rezus is likely to carry the game. Gelu's cauterized proxies on the run. 2 monks chasing him down to find the kill. There's no mana left in the tank. There's no defense left either. Infernion secures the Mortal Coil. Needs to just get 1 Chaos Bolt. Maybe doesn't even need it. Gelu blinks away. Ring of Peace interrupts him. Clyde gets spell locked in. Infernion and Gelu could fall at the same second. With Numliz still in polymorph. Infernion, how are you gonna live? There's nothing left. Ashley cloaks aggressively, evasions aggressively to go all in and gets it.
Oh. And here is the cross kill. Numliz and Rezus versus Clyde and Ashley. I'm inclined to believe that Plot Twist might have an advantage here. Rezus is able to sit on Clyde. I actually don't know who wins this. This is 33% dampening. Kidney shot now secured onto Numliz. Both healers almost completely tapped on mana. What are we thinking here, Sid?
I mean, in terms of defense, Chalky Milkmen are ahead. If Numliz can regenerate mana to get away of the Crane, then maybe that could be enough to push it over the edge. It's not often that we see a 2v2 between 2 healers that are completely out of mana at 35% dampening. Clyde is taking the opportunity to get away. Numliz tries to find him and misses.
Oh, nightmare situation.
He doesn't know where he is. He's going to go back to full mana. Rezus is getting pressured in the meantime. They try and go for an all-in on Ashley. Ashley respects that, says, okay, I'll trade Gladiator's Medallion to get full mana and try and have that edge. Now the consistent pressure of the Assassination Rogue may be enough for the Chalky Milkmen to secure game 2.
Yeah, Plot Twist is going to be really sad with what just happened. Clyde went to 80% mana after that, but Numliz isn't doing too bad. Both Numliz and Rezus just punching Ashley in the face right now. There's a full leg sweep. Rezus manages to find the incapacitate on the Clyde. He trinkets out. Ashley's still very vulnerable. They might be able to really punish Chalky Milkman for that drink. But a full kidney shot on Rezus. He managed to get the touch of Karma before the stun. Beautifully done. But an excellent Cyclone from Clyde denies a lot of that offense Rezus would normally have with that touch of Karma.
Clyde looks to switch the Cyclone, gets it. No Gladiator's Medallion available, but Rezus races with that touch of death. Ashley is respecting the touch of death damage, using Feint and Iron Bark to reduce it, and able to stabilize. Rezus gets cloned up. I think Chalky Milkmen have the edge now with Vendetta slowly and surely going to be available in 5 more seconds, and Numliz doesn't have enough mana to wave the Crane just yet. Dampening at critical mass. Clyde's drink definitely carrying. It's unfortunate for Numliz for not being able to deny that, but Vendetta immediately gets popped. Ashley gets stunned on it. Fist of Fury overlapped with the stun, so now not able to benefit from the Turbo Fist parry effect, so maybe a little bit of a slight overlap on the side of Plot Twist in terms of their defense. Obviously, he wanted to counter-aggress, but now he's exposed. Cloak of Shadows to try and connect on the Ring of Peace, but that does not immune the knockback. Able to reconnect with Death from above, but now able to transcend its roll across the map. Rezus with perfect kiting, flying serpent kick right back to Numliz, but there's no mana. Garrote onto him, interrupting any potential heals, but a double leg sweep. He got behind him on the evasion. Nice moves. Ashley gets bursted down. And Clyde's starting to struggle.
Definitely, but Rezus so vulnerable. He has 10 seconds left. on the touch of Karma. They can get a kidney shot on Rezus. He could fall, but he has Trinket. He gets caught into the kidney shot. That's going to be the Gladiator's safeguard, as well as Life Cocoon and Trinket. Clyde once again looking for a drink potentially, but he's almost out of mana. Things are looking good for Plot Twist. Ashley does have the Vanish, has to vanish out, but Rezus is feeling pretty confident here with this touch of Karma that he can survive the next push from Chalky Milkmen.
Ashley goes for a Vanish. Gura trying to boost that damage. Trinket's out to go for the kill. They have to kill in the kidney shot, otherwise Touch of Karma will redirect all of his damage. They don't even have enough damage to force the Touch of Karma. Ashley gets Ring of Peace, unable to get to the boxes and run away. Rezus goes all in with this Touch of Karma to find the kill. Fist of Fury adding some extra damage as well. Rezus rolls out a line of sight of the clone from Clyde against the wall, trying to stay on target just long enough to take Ashley down. The mana that Clyde got back earlier is completely evaporated. Rezus gets caught with kidney shots. Both Ashley and Rezus in a lot of trouble here at 52% damage, but the leg sweep on Ashley can easily secure a kill here. Is Ironbark's defense going to be enough? It doesn't look like it's going to be. Ursul's Vortex gets put down. Ashley Shadow steps out to the defense. Interfate timed here for free healing, but even still, Clyde struggles.
Yeah, Ashley's still low, but manages to stabilize. Now Rezus vulnerable with no Trinket. If he gets caught into a bash, there it is. Ashley, can you close it out? Kidney shot on Numbless. Rezus left all alone, but a beautiful Life Cocoon keeps Rezus in it, interrupts the Cyclone. Ashley still vulnerable. Numbless trying to create some pressure for his team. Rezus has to reconnect. Ashley manages to fight. He has the Vendetta. If Ashley can get one more stun on Rezus, they could close it out, but I don't know if they're going to have enough time. Leg sweep used onto Ashley. Clyde has to Trinket out of the incapacitate, but Ashley does manage to hold on. We're at
there it is.
7% happening. Kidney shot on Rezus with the Vendetta. How is Numbless going to keep him alive? Rezus ports away, dispels the poison, trying to kite away. Clyde pushes in. Death from above from Ashley. Rezus ultimately will fall. And Chalky Milkmen have done it, claiming game number 2.
Oh my goodness, I think this
Mistweaver, I think he's just frankly better at the Mistweaver than he is at the Shaman, which is why they were reluctant to picking this healer in the first place.
Well, if Chalky Milkmen are able to take this, they will secure their spot in the top 3. They will secure their spot on Sunday. And Plot Twist, they will be out of the tournament.
I think Chalky Milkmen are going to exploit this weakness. Once again, Numbless treading off onto a healer that he has limited experience on, and Gelu has quite literally been on fire throughout the tournament today, and they're going to go straight for the healer, trying to go after that weak point. How will Numbless respond? Jumps into Ghost Wolf, running that Ghost Wolf build. Gets stunned on his free-casted heal. Devastating for Numbless early on. It could be a Spearling Totem. Astral Shift, Earthen Wall Totem overlapped. A bit of a panic attack, but it trades evenly at least. He's still struggling to stabilize, though.
Yeah, if he has to trade out a Spirit Link Totem, it's going to be a nightmare here for Numbless, but he manages to survive. Gelu now, he's overstayed his welcome, getting bursted down. Beautiful counter pressure by Rezus and Infernion. You cannot be messing around, and a beautiful Ring of Peace knocks Gelu out of line of sight of his healer. Rezus looking to close out the game. Gelu might have to trade out his Ice Block, or it could be the Cauterized proc. He manages to hold on. Clyde finds the healing that he needs, but Rezus with these Ring of Pieces, that's going to be devastating for Chalky Milkmen on this map.
On this Blade's Edge arena, Infernion can free cast. It's unlikely you will find a safe place to hide against the Destruction Warlock on Blade's Edge arena. Blind attempt here by Chalky Milkmen. Numbless going to respect that extended crowd control, break out of it, and not let it go out of control. Now that's an opening to switch back to him with the next Vendetta in 54 seconds. Of course, they have to make it to that point, so Gelu is going to jump off the side of the bridge to line of sight incoming Chaos Bolts. Ducking in and out of line of sight as much as possible against the Destruction Warlock is a super effective strategy, but on this map it can be quite difficult.
Yep, definitely have to see what happens. Rezus now into a polymorph. Good control coming in from Gelu. Here's the setup on the Numbless. Do they have the crowd control? Unfortunately, not able to find it. Rezus shuts it down with a beautiful leg sweep onto Clyde and onto Gelu, but Dragon's Breath secures the full polymorph. Now Infernion in a lot of trouble. Unending Resolve forced to be traded out. And Gelu once again line of sighting. He does manage to escape Infernion. Anytime he jumps off the side of the map, it's going to be difficult for Infernion to actually land the significant damage that he needs. So as long as Gelu can consistently land these polymorphs onto Numbless, try to allow Ashley some good uptime onto Infernion, Chalky Milkmen still have a winning strategy in this game. Infernion actually jumps downstairs. That allows Gelu to reposition up top.
There's 2 targets right now that they can take down on the side of Plot Twist. I don't like that they're going after Infernion. I think a Smoke Bomb kill on Rezus or a swap to Numbless is their best option right now. And just go all in. I guess they're actually just going to commit onto Infernion. They already got the Unending Resolve. I'm very surprised to not see the Vendetta committed already in this position. All three members are attacking Infernion. It seemed like a very obvious play. I guess they're waiting for the Earthen Wall Totem. They want to make sure they can completely 100-0 him, but now they need to secure crowd control into Numbless to deny the Spirit Link Totem. Rezus is counter-pressuring with this Touch of Death. It may be enough to force an Ice Block. Gelu gets a double Dragon's Breath. If they can get any crowd control off the back end of this, they drop the Smoke Bomb, they bash. He links the bash, but not three members couldn't get inside. I don't know if a two members' health is going to be enough to keep Infernion alive throughout this assault. Numbless manages to stabilize. Now Gelu on the back foot. Numbless casting a Lava Burst, adding some extra damage. Greater Pyroblast soaks up and interrupts. Mortal Coil denies the follow-up cast. Gelu now gets spell-locked. Multiple Chaos Bolts incoming. Ooh. Gelu tries to sneak in a Ring of Frost. Numbless dodges.
Yeah, beautifully done by Gelu. Unfortunately, Numbless was on point with his Dispel. Now full blind onto Numbless. Is he going to Trinket? Is he going to sit it? What is he going to do? Opting to sit that full blind. Gelu follows it up with the Polymorph. Numbless immediately Trinkets out. Infernion, no Unending Resolve still for another minute and 20 seconds. Uses his Dark Soul, looking to get aggressive here onto Ashley or Gelu. Chaos Bolt lands on Ashley. He has to trade out the Cloak of Shadows to survive. Clyde actually sat down for a drink during that exchange, so he's kept his team in the fight. And now actually Chalky Milkmen have a mana lead over Plot Twist.
Yeah, Chalky Milkmen still in a position to just close this series outright and eliminate Plot Twist. These teams are only 2 points ahead, 62 points for the Chalky Milkmen and 60 points for the team of Plot Twist. So quite evenly matched on points and competition, but the Chalky Milkmen can get significantly ahead if they can pull off a victory here. They've got good crowd control on Numbless. Triple threat here with that Feral Affinity attacking Infernion. They need to get a Cyclone. They don't get the Cyclone. Clyde gets Paralysis, and now Ashley in trouble. Tries to pre-fade, but they've opened up Gelu. He's free casting. No, Numbless denies the Greater Pyroblast with the Wind Shear. Now Gelu tries to get a Polymorph. Not able to find it. Gets hexed on the Greater Pyroblast. Tried to blink it, but didn't time it correctly on the position there. Now Gelu gets denied. Clyde wasn't able to dispel. He was spell locked. Ashley's just on the run, trying to avoid death.
Yeah, definitely Infernion still just a turret for his team, looking to find the damage that he needs. Now Kidney Shot onto Numbless. Are they committing the damage onto Numbless? He doesn't have a Trinket. He could be vulnerable. He does manage to get the Astral Shift, but that was a bad trade by Numbless. You can see if Ashley doesn't fall here, things are looking good for Chalky Milkman. Ashley still has Vendetta. Gelu still has his Combustion. Infernion and Rezus, they're going to have to play Miracle Worker here in order to keep Numbless alive. If he gets caught into a stun with all those cooldowns, Numbless could easily fall.
They should just all in Numbless. Just Ice Block, crowd control. Clyde goes Feral Affinity, attacks in Cat form. They've got 20 seconds to kill Numbless, or sorry, 16 seconds. They should just go all in. Just Ice Block, Cat form, kill him, but they're not all inning him. They're reluctant to go all in. Clyde's in Cat form, but he's hesitating. That 1 second of hesitation might be enough. It's not. Chalky Milkmen are going to close this out 3-0.
Oh my goodness, and what a performance it was as well. Chalky Milkmen really start to predict which teams may be going to land, but we definitely know what's in store on Sunday. Method Black versus Wildcard Gaming going to be going head-to-head. Wildcard Gaming has been trying so hard to catch up to Method Black, but still, they are stuck in their shadow.